In boxing, Fabio Wardley stuns Joseph Parker with a brutal 10th round stoppage at the O2.
Hello, some of us enjoyed an extra hour in bed last night with the clock change, and it's all changed with the weather today as well. Find out all the details coming up soon.
Just gone 6 o'clock, I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Sorry, my glasses are absolutely
Oh, I thought it was the extra hour in bed has made you a bit short-sighted or something.
No. Aidan, you had a night out yesterday, didn't you?
Night out yesterday, yeah, daytime night out.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, no, my night last night was spent covering the boxing, of course, which we'll go into later on. But yeah, I went to Chelsea yesterday. It was a corporate day. Incredible. I don't normally go to Chelsea because I'm a QPR fan. They're our rivals, but I was invited yesterday to Club Chelsea. Here he is. Here's the programme here. Great story as well because they were ahead early on. They were turned over by Sunderland, one of the promoted clubs. But I had to take a video.
Yeah, because you don't go for the football.
Yeah,
Let's be honest, you go for the
football.
food.
It's nonsense. I mean, if I did go for the food, look at this footage now, and you can see exactly why. Look at this. I've got my phone out. I thought Stephen and Anne and all our viewers have to be able to see this. This is the array of starters and entrees. I'm having a chat with the lady there, as I tend to do.
Right,
and we go,
that,
look at this.
Oh, very nice.
I mean, this is football fare.
You didn't bring anything back in a little goodie bag?
Well, I could. I did think about you, but I just thought, because it was an early... Because it was
that sort of
a 3 o'clock kick-off.
Yeah. It's like picky food,
Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is the carvery, though. This is the carvery. Look, here we go.
And is all this laid on for free?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I mean, you can't just pick up one of those and take it home.
This is what you call a corporate day, in other words, a jolly.
There are about 7 different levels of corporate hospitality at Chelsea, as there are with lots of the big clubs. I'm doing Arsenal on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And
What's that waistline?
And Fulham next Sunday.
Heck, look at that. Well, that's a way to spend an afternoon.
It is. And but I'm just, as long as you know, I was thinking of you two.
Oh, right, yeah.
No, not nearly enough, though. I was expecting a nice little goodie bag back from that.
Nice.
All those nibbles would go very nicely into a little box bag, wouldn't they?
A very reasonably priced bar as well.
Oh, well, there you go.
Reasonable.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, how did the
Chelsea
other
lost.
half live? Chelsea lost.
It was a treat. They did. They were ahead early on, as I say.
Treat for you.
A little bit, yeah. But no, it was good. It was good fun. Sunderland are one of the promoted clubs. They're usually one of the ones who struggle, but they're not struggling now. They're second in the table.
Yeah. You're right. You're getting yourself together.
Sorry, yes, I am. Yes, I'm just a bit. My wires are falling out.
It's having an extra hour in bed doesn't suit you. Clearly.
No.
Didn't me? I couldn't remember. Well, I woke at 1:30 this morning, and I looked at it and I thought, is that the real 1:30 or the old 1:30?
The fake 1:30.
Have the clocks changed yet? And I knew that it might be 2 o'clock that they change. But I had to then sit up.
So you stayed up till 2?
Yeah. So I stayed up till 2 to watch it go back to 1, which it did, thank goodness.
But that means you missed out on extra sleep.
By then, I wasted the extra hour.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
crazy,
stupid, isn't it?
It's crazy.
But it is, except for our clock over there, our big clock in the studio.
Oh, that's wrong.
Still on old-fashioned time.
Oh.
Whereas everything else gets changed digitally.
That's confusing. We're going to get very confused.
We are really.
I'm bad enough
we'll
as it
try
is
very
anyway.
hard to get it right.
This is the countdown to Christmas begins now.
Oh, give
No,
on.
it's Halloween first. We have to all
true.
go silly for Halloween, as though we were American. I really don't like Halloween at all.
Don't you?
No, there's spiders and cobwebs everywhere. I mean, why do people think that's funny? It's horrible. And
But they're not real, though.
carving well, they look it, some of them. And anyway, it's nothing to celebrate, I don't think. I think Halloween's silly. But once we've got Halloween out of the way, sorry, I really do, then we can look forward to Christmas properly.
Right. Apologies, American Jennifer Power, who sat in the studio here.
I think it's just one of those things we didn't need to import quite so enthusiastically.
OK, fair enough.
Anyone agree with me? I don't know.
Well, I sort of do. But...
The other thing is to hear from you if you benefited from the extra hour, or if you're in a certain job, like if you're a nurse, an overnight nurse or something, do you have to work the extra hour?
Oh, our security here.
Yeah, because you were saying when you used to read the news...
I used to read the news overnight many years ago, and that was... it was actually 7 hours instead of 6.
So I think there are...
You got paid for the extra hour, didn't you?
No.
Well, if you've been doing it, if you've just come in from a night shift and you've had to do an extra hour, did they pay you for that extra hour? I wonder.
I bet they didn't.
Get in touch.
I bet they didn't. Right. Should we... are we starting with this? Yes, we are. The Chancellor could be set to introduce a mansion tax in the budget.
Yes. Now, what's a mansion? Well, it would mean that anyone who owns a property worth more than £2 million would face paying the Treasury an additional 1%. So, for example, the owners of a £3 million house would face a bill every year of an extra £10,000.
Would they? I think it'd probably be more, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we'll have to do the maths.
We'll do the maths on that.
We thought we'd got it right earlier. But
anyway, Labour's new Deputy Leader, Lucy Powell, used her winning speech to criticise the government's running of the economy as well as their stance on migration.
People feel that this government is not being bold enough in delivering the kind of change we promised. I'll be a champion for our Labour values and boldness in everything we do. And I know that you, Keir, as our leader, you want that too, and I will be your ally in that fight. It starts with us wrestling back the political megaphone and setting the agenda more strongly. Because let's be honest, we've let Farage and his ilk run away with it.
Yeah, a lot of people might say it's not just about wresting the political microphone, it's what you say when you've got it. In other political news, MPs could debate Prince Andrew's titles, with the Lib Dems intending to use their next opposition day when they get the chance to sort of set the agenda for what to discuss. And they're saying they want to discuss his rights to his titles now.
Right. Let's talk to political commentator Jennifer Powers. Good morning.
Good morning.
Right, on this mansion tax, we were sort of umming and ahhing over those figures. So it's anything over 2 million. So if you had...
Get taxed at 1%,
So if with our example of a £3 million house, you get taxed on that additional million
yes,
at 10%.
Anything over the 2 million would be taxed at 1% per year, so it's a recurring fee.
Is it a sensible move to raise money, or is this actually going to just stall the housing market?
Well, it would distort and potentially have ramifications for quite a few people in the housing market. What's interesting about it is that it's a repeat of the Labour's 2015 manifesto. It was actually part of Ed Miliband's campaign for the general election back then to have a mansion tax. And there was huge uproar, especially by pensioners and older households, because, of course, if you've had a house for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's appreciated in value. And you may be living on a pension, and then suddenly, you're being taxed on your asset, which is inflated, greatly over time.
And you haven't got the cash to pay it.
And you haven't got the cash to pay for it. So there was huge uproar about this 10 years ago, and we're seeing this being floated ahead of the budget next month. And what's interesting, again, is that who was head of policy for Ed Miliband back in 2015 was a chap by the name of Torsten Bell.
Oh,
and Torsten Bell, viewers may remember that name. He is now in the Treasury as a minister, and he's been given responsibility for budget preparations. And what do you know? This kite is being flown about how do we soak the rich, tax the rich, go for the wealthy. And so one of these ideas for plugging this presumably 40 billion pound black hole is to go for people's houses. But why? Of course, the worry is where will it end?
But why haven't they got the common sense? Because I mean, look, I can understand some people going, oh well, great, they're rich, they've got money, they've got a big house, whatever it is. Let's take money off them. But why is no one in the Labour Party realising that if you do that, the economy works on a scale, and if you do that, you actually affect all of the economics below that level?
Yeah, I think sometimes politics is too focused on the short term as opposed to worrying about the damage. We've seen that with the national insurance rises that came from last budget and the impact that's had, especially on retail and hospitality sectors. So sometimes seeking to plug a short-term hole in the finances causes, problems down the road.
I know a lot of people watching right now might say, well, if you've got a £2 million house, you're rich, you can afford to. But it's not always the case, is it? As you said, that if you're talking about somebody... I mean, there are astonishing little tiny Victorian terraces in certain areas of London, for instance, or Oxford that I know, that are worth an absolute or they're valued now as at an absolute fortune, and yet they've been owned by the same person who inherited it from their parents probably about 50 years ago.
Yeah, I think
they wouldn't consider themselves rich.
Well, no, and this is the asset-rich, cash-poor. And I think it would force tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands. I haven't seen any recent modeling of what impact that may have, but certainly many people would be forced to sell up their family homes
because they couldn't buy a house that then puts them in that bracket.
Well, indeed. So first of all, they'd be faced with this really invidious choice of how do I find this extra whatever it is, 5, 10, 15,000 pounds a year when they may be on a very fixed income. Secondly, the value of their home, where they'd be forced to sell, would potentially plummet, especially those houses, just above that £2 million mark, if that were the point for it to come in. But of course, large parts of London and the southeast, there's a huge slew of homes that are around that million and a half mark, which, as you say, are really quite modest. And that may sound crazy to people who live elsewhere in the country, but that's simply the price of property down here in the southeast. And so, I think a lot of the middle classes would be looking in at the Treasury with a bit of fear, thinking, well, might they start lowering that? Should it come in at 3 million? Would that be slowly brought down and we'd be brought into that tax?
With all of this, though, I'll tell you what it sounds exactly like in terms of being asset rich and cash poor. Farmers.
Yeah.
It's the same. Yeah. It's the same idea.
It's the same model.
It's the same model as the farming.
Right. Absolutely right. Because of course, if you own a house, you might have a family, you might have carrying responsibilities. Your house may have appreciated over 30 years. Suddenly, you're hit with another £10,000 a year bill. The only way to get that money is to liquidate, which means selling your house. Yeah. So it's very much akin to the farmers.
OK, Jennifer, for now, thank you very much indeed.
I wonder if anyone watching at the moment is living in a £2 million house and is a bit worried. Love to hear from you. Now, the manhunt for the sex offender migrant who was accidentally freed is intensifying. They're desperately trying to find him.
Yeah, Hadush Kabatu was last seen on Friday, just before 8 p.m. in North London, in Hackney.
And CCTV footage released last night showed the 41-year-old in a library, apparently, wearing his prison-issue tracksuit still.
Well, police are calling for him to come forward and make himself known. Former Detective Chief Superintendent Kevin Hurley is with us. I just wonder, Kevin, what do we know about his language skills? Will he actually be aware that people are trying to get hold of him?
I suspect he will do, because of the fact that when he was sentenced, he will know that there was a deportation order, and that would have been related to him by a translator if he didn't understand. And of course, he was in prison for some time, so he's aware of that. But if I was Frank and I look at the situation now, he's still wearing his prison-issue tracksuit and prison-issue trainers, doesn't appear to have very much with him. And the fact he's now wandering around in a library, it would appear he doesn't really have anywhere to go. So I suspect before too much longer, a member of the public is going to spot him and phone him in to the police. But of course, East London, where he's last been seen here, is a very, very mixed society in terms of who lives there. So he may not necessarily stand out in the same way he would do if he was walking around in North Hertfordshire or South West Surrey. But I'm pretty sure within the next day or two we'll hear that he's been detained, because someone's phoned the police, or indeed a patrolling police officer or security guard has actually seen him walking along the road.
Astonishingly, it would appear that he went back to the prison reception and asked what was going on. He seemed to be confused about the fact that he'd been released. And then later on, we saw him asking for directions. I mean, he may be at an absolute loss as to what to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, there's no question that this was a very big error by prison staff at Chelmsford for him to be released, and even for whoever he spoke to at Chelmsford, possibly either being new in the job or just a job's worth who couldn't care less when he went back for the advice, if that's what happened, not saying, well, what are you doing here? You know, a real lack of inquisitiveness. But we shouldn't be surprised because of the way that the prison service have been run down into the ground by the previous government.
I mean, but this is the issue, Kevin, slightly, isn't it? That although we believe someone's been suspended from their job and all the rest of it, it seems like they're kicking the bottom rung of the ladder and no one further up is taking responsibility for how we've ended up in this state in the first place. Yeah,
Stephen, you're absolutely correct. And in nearly all these cases of what we might call public sector foul-ups, we end up kicking the bottom. The reason why this has occurred is because of systemic problems within the prison service that stem back over 14 years of the previous government slashing and burning both prisons and probation. So Michael Gove and Chris Grayling are the architects behind this. And I can say that because when I was an elected police and crime commissioner in Surrey, I used to be involved in the debates with the justice ministers saying you can't keep cutting prisons and probation because we will reap the whirlwind in the future. And of course, that's what's happening now. You know, the austerity of 14 years has had an effect across all our public services, NHS, education, police, prisons, probation, court, Crown Prosecution Service. And this is just, if you like, a manifestation of it, where this nasty, unpleasant individual is now out walking amongst us. The only thing I would say is he is just one of many thousands of potentially dangerous offenders who move amongst us at the current time because the prisons are full and there's no space for them.
And meanwhile, the police are sort of urging him to give himself up. Do you think that's likely in any way at all?
Well, I mean, he may do, but I doubt that he's got the opportunity to watch a TV broadcast where a senior police boss sitting up somewhere up near the top of the tree is saying, we want you to give yourself up. You know, they always do that. I might add, when I was a senior police officer, I never did anything quite so stupid or pointless. The way you'll be caught is because members of the public will call this in, or a patrolling police officer or an off-duty police officer or border force or similar, or indeed any of us might see him walking down the street and call 999 and say, there he is. And the one thing I would say is if anyone does see him, call it in. But it does look like he's rather confused, doesn't know what to do. Because when all said and done, he's got no money, he's got no means of support. And it would appear he doesn't necessarily have any friends or contacts to fall back on. Or if he was serious about evading capture, he would have changed his clothes by now. Or at the very least, started shoplifting for new ones. And he hasn't done that.
OK. Kevin Hurley, appreciate your time. Thanks very much indeed.
It almost makes you think, I mean, he must be so confused as to what to do. I mean, he wouldn't even know, I imagine, if he'd be treated well if he did give himself.
No. I mean,
he didn't escape, did he? Apparently he went back 5 times to the reception area and asked for some sort of clarification. And they just said, you're released, go. They kept saying it 5 times, apparently, to him.
So this, oddly enough, is not his fault. That's not to portray him as anything other than a very unpleasant criminal for which he's been convicted and will be deported.
But apparently he was quite keen on being deported, and that's why he went back. He was expecting to be loaded into another van or something, to be taken off somewhere else, and it didn't happen. And that's not to be sympathetic towards him, it's just to try and understand the situation.
Yeah, just reality, actually. Right, we'll keep you up to date with that. In the meantime, if you are heading out this morning, believe you me, it is colder today. Let's get the forecast with Greg.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Fairly chilly start, a patchy frost in places, but that's all changed as the next weather system starts to move in from the Atlantic, bringing cloud and rain initially across Northern Ireland and Scotland this morning. Elsewhere, sunshine becoming limited to southeast England. But as we move through into the afternoon, that cloud and rain slowly pushing its way south and eastwards. So everywhere seeing some rain by the end of the day today. The wind's still coming in from a northwesterly direction, so still rather chilly out there, generally between 8 and 12 Celsius. So with the lack of sunshine, it will feel rather chilly. And as we head through into the evening time, the band of rain continues to slowly push its way southwards, so parts of central, southern England and Wales, a wet end to the day here. Some of the rain could be heavy at times over the higher ground. Behind the rain into parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland, we've got clearer spells here, but scattered showers. The showers most frequent across central and northern parts of Scotland. Some of these on the heavy side. Temperatures this evening around 4 to 7 Celsius, so rather chilly end to Sunday. And then overnight we see the cloud and rain continuing to push its way southeastwards into the near continent, though we will see further outbreaks of rain across southwest England into Wales, up into Northern Ireland as well. Frequent showers elsewhere, so it means temperatures overnight maybe not quite as low as they were last night, holding up around 4 to 9 Celsius, perhaps even double digits across some southern counties of England and Wales, where it will be a cloudy start on Monday morning. Outbreaks of rain continuing here through the day, but generally for most it will be a bright day on Monday. Sunny spells, scattered showers. The wind's still coming in from the north, so a fairly chilly direction, but some milder air trying to move into the south. So here temperatures a little higher on Monday, around 14 Celsius, but for many between 9 and 13, so still rather chilly. See you soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Thanks very much for getting in touch. I hope you realise that it is indeed 6:25, not 7:25, because the clocks went back in the middle of the night. I hope it benefited you and you got an extra hour in bed instead of an extra hour at work. There you go. A lot of people agreeing with me, by the way, about not liking Halloween.
Yes, I see.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, I rather like the time of Halloween because we used to have Harvest Festival. Do they still do that in schools? I used to love Harvest Festival.
It's Harvest Festival last weekend at church.
That's very traditional and really important. But Halloween.
I don't know, I used to like it when I was a kid, but it was all just bobbing for apples and carving out a turnip.
Yeah, well, that's more sort of Harvest Festival-y, isn't it? Or bonfire nighty.
It's the sort of, it all ties in together, doesn't it? But now it's become so commercial.
Yeah.
But anyway, pumpkins are smaller this year because there's not been enough water.
There hasn't been enough water?
Yeah, it's dry summer.
People say it was one of the driest, hottest summers on record. I don't remember it being that way.
Yeah, no, it was. Anyway, so your pumpkins are small this year.
Sorry about that.
Yes. They are saying carve a melon.
Oh, no, that wouldn't be the same.
No, get a turnip.
You find a turnip.
That's hard, but yes, we use turnip lanterns. Yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Now, look, time is ticking on your chance to win the biggest prize of the year in our current Great British giveaway. There's only a week left to go. Here's how to take part.
There's just 5 days left to enter the biggest giveaway of the year so far, with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. The coming year could be your best yet. But hurry, get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck. Now, if you're waking up feeling, oh, that was amazing sleep, it's because you had an extra hour in bed because the clocks went back.
That's right. Daylight saving has started. No.
Daylight saving has ended.
Ended. Yeah. It's ended. We're back to GMT. Yeah.
We are.
Oh, anyway, it gets very confusing.
And I think it confuses our body as well. I didn't benefit at all because I woke up totally aware of it and watched the clock. How stupid is that? Anyway, how does this all impact our sleep schedules? Let's talk to sleep expert Lindsay Browning. Good morning, Lindsay. I mean, we always find the whole concept of budgeting your sleep very, very important. But, I mean, will people feel refreshed? The trouble is, you know, that if you've benefited from that hour tonight, you'll have to pay it back in 6 months' time. So is this daylight saving time thing, is it a benefit to us nowadays?
Well, that's a great question. It's been debated a lot in Parliament, actually, whether we should be moving the clocks, because every time we change the clocks in October and back in March, there's a change. And even though this one is the good one, as it were, because we gain an hour's sleep, it still does affect our ability to function the next day, because tomorrow, the next day, over the next few days, we'll all find ourselves waking up a little bit earlier than we would expect to. And for people, especially those struggling with their sleep anyway, waking up earlier than your alarm can just fuel that anxiety and that frustration about sleep. So the fact that we got the extra hour last night actually is quite helpful for lots of people if they're sleep deprived. But in the days moving forwards, we need to be aware of that sort of early awakening and think of right now, today, as a time to think about your sleep and start making some changes for the next 6 months when the nights are longer, the daylight hours are shorter, and that can really affect our sleep and our psychological well-being.
So what should we do? Sleep more or sleep less?
Well, we want to be sleeping the same amount, really, but when there is less daylight hours in the winter, then what happens is without that bright sunshine during the day, we can feel really sluggish during the day. And in the winter, people can find themselves wanting to nap more, feeling less awake and alert during the day. So it's really, really important that we all get outside every single day to get that natural daylight exposure. And the reason that the clocks go back, well, the benefit that we have from that is to give us that morning sunshine, because we lose the evening light, which for many people and businesses can be quite frustrating because you can't go out and shop and socialize in the evening in the daylight hours. But in the morning, before we go to work, we get a bit of sunshine, and that's what's really key. We want everyone to go outside and make sure that you walk a little bit to work. You go outside before you start work and experience the natural daylight, because that helps to regulate our circadian rhythm and helps us to fall asleep earlier and more efficiently during the day, and the sunshine helps us to be more awake and alert during the daytime as well.
So make sure you get a little bit of sunlight at least.
Absolutely.
That's really,
and during the
that's
day if you can at lunchtime as well.
Maybe spend your lunchtime walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't
get
any concept in the studio of whether it's light outside or not.
No, my circadian rhythms went out about 20 years ago and I still haven't got them back, unfortunately. But you never know, you look, maybe one time. Lindsay, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
I think if you ever work shift hours, it never leaves you, does it?
No, it never leaves. It's funny because when people, if I meet new people and say, oh, what do you do? And I say, I'm a shift worker.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what it is. You know, it's... But that's what we do. It's what we like to do. So it's not. We're not moaning. Man of the people, says my director.
Say,
yes, I am a man of the people.
People say you must be so used to it by now, and you say
never.
Yeah, you are. You do get used to it, but you never get to quite like it.
No,
because you'd still rather turn over and have another few hours in bed.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, well.
But never mind. We still love it, don't we? Otherwise, we wouldn't be
here.
We
love talking about it. It's like talking about the weather, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's just one of those things we obsess about. But
anyway, we also like talking about the sport and the boxing. What an incredible heavyweight thriller yesterday. Aidan's going to have all the details in a moment.
Britain's newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
It's got this funny aspect, hasn't it? That calling Nelson queer is funny, but it isn't. In a way, it's not funny at all. It's just part of a very large project to not only pretend that trans people started the gay rights movement and that everybody has a gender identity. But I don't know if you know, the University of Leicester has got this wonderful organisation, the Research Centre for Museums and Galleries, which also links up with NEMO. This is a European-wide organisation, and they hold events about queering the museums. So the museums are being fed this bonkers nonsense, yes, by organisations that we're funding, and I think this has to stop. It really has to stop.
Bev, Michelle here. Sorry to cut in and take this back to basics, but some of my viewers might be sitting there and they're not down with the latest iterations of the alphabet soup, so they might not actually even know what is queer.
Well, it's a good question, isn't it? Queer used to be, and in my mind still is, an insult. A lot of gay men, especially older gay men, remember being called queer just before they were beaten up. So for them, and for many people, and including for me as well, queer is an insult. But lots of young gays and lesbians have adopted the word queer these days, but funnily enough, lots of straight people have too. So you'll find straight couples calling themselves queer because they think their sex is a bit edgy or something. It's completely debased the whole notion of what it was, of what gay rights was about, and people have forgotten what gay rights were about. So I don't use the word queer at all. I don't use the word LGBTQ+, because it's a jumble of different interests which actually conflict with each other. They don't belong together.
The People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello again, the time is 6:35. Time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, my name is Marjorie and I'm a Baptist leader in Sheffield. I wonder who and what comes to your mind when you hear the word saint. In the book of Ephesians in the Bible, Paul addresses the church as God's saints. And he gives us a powerful reminder that following Christ isn't just about believing, it's about becoming a totally different kind of person. When we hear the word saint, we often think of very special people of the past, people we might idolize but not attempt to imitate. But if you look at their lives, they were just regular, ordinary people who made some wise and sometimes courageous choices to live well and avoid evil. We can all do this. Becoming a saint doesn't mean being perfect. The word actually means being set apart and continually transformed by the Spirit of God. This transformation is good for us and for others. St. Paul tells us to stop lying and to speak truthfully, to control our anger, to build others up with our words, and to forgive, just as in Christ God forgave us. These aren't just moral instructions, they are the daily habits of someone becoming holy, leaving behind older habits that are unhelpful and adopting new ones that bring life. Becoming a saint happens one choice at a time as we cooperate with the Spirit in honesty, purity, kindness, and grace.
Right, at nearly 6:38. Aidan's here with the sport. Good morning.
Good morning to you both.
What would you like to start with this morning?
What a day of Premier League action. I mentioned my trip to Chelsea. There was actually a football match going on at Chelsea.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, there was. Look, they took the lead
Not
early.
just eating, drinking and making merry.
No. I think the Chelsea manager would have fancied doing that afterwards, something to drown his sorrows, because he was in furious mood afterwards. He criticised his players for just not dealing with the attack Sunderland had. And they, as I say, they were ahead early on, but they squandered that lead. And this is a side that's spent well over £1 billion in recent years since Abramovich was turfed out of there by the UK government to try and rebuild the place. And to me, they're not even in the top 6 right now. But problems elsewhere for Liverpool. They played at Brentford yesterday. 4 defeats in the Premier League in a row. This is a club who spent £446 million in one window. And that's an astonishing amount of number. We talk about what Chelsea spent. It is, yeah, exactly. And they spent this in one single window, nearly £500 million, and it's not showing on the pitch because Mo Salah is not playing particularly well. And as I say, 4 consecutive Premier League defeats before the clocks go back. Now, they lost 4 matches in the entirety of last season. That leaves their title defence in tatters. Arsenal have a huge opportunity today against Crystal Palace when they kick off at 2 o'clock to try and move ahead there. But Sunderland, a word on Sunderland, as I mentioned just a moment ago, it's the promoted sides who tend to be the whipping boys. They're the ones who, in the last 2 years, all 6 promoted teams have gone straight back down. And this is why sides like West Ham have to worry, because they lost on Friday. They're staring at a relegation battle. It used to be, in the last couple of years, you could kind of take your foot off the gas because you knew the promoted clubs would probably be the ones getting relegated. Not the case anymore. Leeds won on Friday. Sunderland is second in the table yesterday on account of that win at Chelsea yesterday, the first win there in a number of years. And Burnley are doing very well also. Man United should give a mention to them as well. 3 wins in a row. Crisis? What crisis? Doesn't seem to be one. They're up to 4th in the table. Is Ruben Amorim just finally getting United to turn the corner. It looks like it. I mean, they lost their last three matches at home to Brighton in the last few years. It was a real problem fixture for them. I think they've lost 6 out of 7 against them, but they swatted them away yesterday by 4-2. So well done to them. We've got some great games today as well. Your favourites, Bournemouth, in action against Nottingham Forest, who give a first league outing to Sean Dyche.
Interesting one.
It will be, 2 o'clock as well. We've got a lot of games today because there are European fixtures in the week, and so the sides who've had to travel or they've had to play later in the week, like Nottingham Forest, get an extra day's grace. And so they played today. 6 matches in total. Should be exciting.
Right, let's talk about the boxing. This is what I want to know about because it was a bad night for Joseph Parker, but he seemed to be on the up and up to begin with.
He did. I mean, he's massively improved in the last few years. He's a former world champion, of course. Frank Warren was on yesterday talking about him. I've never seen a match like this, not for quite some time, where about 3 different times each I thought that each guy was going to win comfortably. And Parker was really on the ropes in the third round against Wardley. Wardley, the underdog here. Wardley's fascinating. 10 years ago, he was a recruitment consultant, and he was spotted by Dillian White. He was doing white-collar boxing, and suddenly here he is. Well, he's a world champion now, and he's going to get a shot at Alexander Usyk. But he was in trouble at certain times yesterday. It looked as if he didn't quite have the power at elite level to trouble Joseph Parker. But Joseph Parker, I mean, it got to the 10th round, I think it was, and the referee stepped in and he was unhappy that not enough was coming back on the ropes from Parker. He left it 30 seconds. Generally speaking, if the fighter's on the ropes for that amount of time being pummeled and doesn't return anything, that's the sign for a stoppage to happen. And Fabio Wardley, very much the underdog going into this, Stephen, but an extraordinary victory for him. And British boxing on the up and up, but Usyk is the one standing in all their ways. He's the Brit Slayer, so much so that he's become so famous in Britain that people love him over here. In fact, I'm not even sure that if you put him against the British Hope, that all Brits would want Usyk to lose, because he's that good and he's been taken to the nation's hearts.
Yeah, all right, Aidan. For now, thank you very much indeed.
Still to come, we've got more details on the Louvre heist, which police now think was an inside job. We'll find out more about that and all of today's paper stories next, as we look through the papers with Emma and Christo.
First, so if you want some holiday sun, here's a European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. We've got showers and longer spells of rain across western parts of the Mediterranean at the moment. Further east, some warm sunshine. We can see Madeira seeing some showery outbreaks of rain for the next few days. Temperatures in the low 20s. The risk of a few showers for southern Spain and Portugal. But in the sunshine, temperatures above average. Plenty of dry weather across Italy and Greece at the moment. Temperatures 25, 26 Celsius. So feeling warm in that sunshine, and it stays pretty settled the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel. At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. I'm going to do now, they are throwing things up the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
.46, let's go through the papers with the journalist Emma Wolfe and the broadcaster and admittedly self-deluded man Christo He just admitted that in the break.
Yeah.
All right, let's start, Emma, with the Sunday Telegraph, should we? The heist at the Louvre was an inside job.
Yeah, well, digital evidence is showing that a member of the security team may have been in contact with Les Cops and Roberts. I'm trying to think.
Yes.
I'm off to France tomorrow, but I should be... anyway, about 100 detectives are still working on this case. They don't think they're ever going to recover these... They took 8 pieces from, effectively, the French kind of crown jewels. They don't think they'll ever recover those because the jewels would have been broken up. Yeah, absolutely. The thieves seem to have come in. They sort of posed as maintenance workers to enter the museum with a massive truck, and the digital evidence seems to show that there was some contact. Because how else could it have happened unless security was relaxed at a certain point?
I think it just demonstrates you can get away with anything wearing a high-vis. Really, you can. You wear a high-vis, you can just walk in anywhere and do anything. The only
look
thing
like you know what you're doing.
You look like you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
The only thing that gives me a little bit of reassurance about this story is that not only are our own police and security services completely inept, it looks like they are in France as well. So we can't just be the only laughingstock, right?
I mean, I agree with you about the high-vis, but actually going into a gallery, into the Apollo Gallery, with a truck, with a sort of 90-foot furniture van on a truck, and then opening a glass case and taking out the French crown jewels is quite a feat, isn't it?
Stop you and say, oh,
you know, what are you actually doing? Yeah. Are you cleaning? What are you? Are you polishing? What's going on here?
Yeah.
So I mean, they're comparing it to this. The loss is being compared to the burning of Notre Dame, which we all remember in 2019. It's that significant.
76 million quid.
Wow. There'll be movies, you're right, though. The only people happy about this is Netflix, who are literally trying to commission this at the moment.
So this is like an episode of Lupin.
Yeah.
Have you watched Lupin?
No, I've heard about it, though.
He's brilliant.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But he does exactly that. He has the high-vis, you know, he looks like a janitor, walks in and just steals.
You're quite high-vis today. I was saying this off camera. You're looking quite high-vis today.
And you're very rad dad.
Yes. I don't know what that means.
It's the David Beckham country look.
Oh, all right.
Country casuals. It's like when Madonna went all country. Do you remember she started wearing tweed and married Guy Ritchie? You know,
that's right.
Woman from
We're still looking at the jewels, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I recently took my son to the Tower of London and I'd forgotten how beautiful
the crown
our crown jewels are, just to see them. I mean, there's a lot of diamonds in there.
Can you imagine if someone just walks in with a high-vis and just unscrewed them and just said,
the
right,
security at the Tower of London is really quite, you know...
You do have to walk actually into a safe, don't you, basically?
Yeah, exactly.
Things have happened at the Louvre before, haven't they? I mean, there have been little scandals at the Louvre. You wonder if their security shouldn't be tightened up a little.
Beautiful pieces.
But it's not going to happen here, Christo, is it? Because according to The Independent, the Conservatives are pledging to stop 35,000 crimes.
Yes, they're saying it's a story from The Independent today, as you say. The Conservatives. Well, it's actually an online story because it dropped late last night. They're going to be deploying more police to violent hotspots if they get elected, and they've promised to stop 35,000 crimes. It's all part of their policing plan. They're going to recruit 10,000 new police officers. They're going to treble the use of stop and search and also give Home Security more powers to set binding operational priorities. The problem is, so they can focus on real crime rather than sort of, hurty tweets and things like that. The problem is that every single person, whenever the Conservatives have an idea, whether it be a good or a bad idea, and this is obviously, no one's going to say that this is a terrible idea to try and stop more crimes, everyone's going to say, well, hang on, why didn't you do it when you were in power? 35,000 crimes, well, policing plan, all of this sounds great. Where was your policing plan over 14 years? What
people say is, well, we're under new management, which is what we hear.
No, I'll tell you what the problem is, guys. The problem here is those two words, if elected. The Tories have a 13% chance, something like that, of being elected. It's just, and a lot of good stuff comes from Chris Philp. He's a good Shadow Home Secretary. And a lot of good stuff comes from Robert Jenrick. And even some good stuff comes from Kemi Badenoch. But they're not going to be elected, so I don't even know why they're bothering.
Well, because we don't know where we'll be in 4 years.
Of course, I know. I'm being mean. I just think it's sort of ridiculous.
Need to know what they would be, being asked to vote for. What about Prince Andrew facing humiliation in the Commons?
Yes, well, there are two stories with Prince Andrew today, unsurprisingly. I'm sure there are more than two elsewhere. But yes, front page of the Sunday Times today saying that he faces a pincer movement from Parliament because he's got this humiliation, they're calling it, because MPs are set to discuss his future. Liberal Democrats are going to use parliamentary time, their opposition day, to discuss whether they should officially remove his Duke of York title. Obviously, there are going to be questions about whether that is a good use of parliamentary time, bearing in mind he has...
And it's exactly what the family wanted to avoid by getting him to sort of renounce his titles.
Absolutely, and also what this would mean is that there would be a knock-on effect for Beatrice and Eugenie, because they would then lose their titles, which would then... And I think the King was keen for them not to, because he's quite fond of them. So there's that, and whether this is sort of political opportunism from the Liberal Democrats or whether it's a good use of time. Also, we say it's a pincer. The other side of this is this mounting pressure for him to quit Royal Lodge. The Mail today reporting that the Prince of Wales, Prince William, who I think is behind a lot more of this than perhaps we suspect, they're moving in next door to Forest Lodge. Now, this is an 8-bedroom house, which they're moving into.
1 mile away.
Well, 1 mile, but it will be the neighbour.
Yeah.
So, I don't think they'll be borrowing a cup of sugar or milk or anything from each other. But they're moving into this 8-bedroom house. They want him out of Royal Lodge before they move in, and he wants to move in on the 5th, and they want to move in on the 5th of November, bonfire night. So he's got to go quickly.
Happen, is it?
But where do you put him? But remember Frogmore Cottage. I keep talking about Frogmore Cottage. That's empty, and Harry and Meghan refurbished it. But that's only got 5 bedrooms. Royal Lodge has got 30 rooms. So will Prince Andrew be happy to go and live in Frogmore?
There's this talk about some woman he knows who said he can stay in a castle in Scotland or something.
I don't know about the castle in Scotland. This is, though, but the MPs discussing it, that's unprecedented. We should just mention that.
Yeah.
They don't traditionally get involved in commenting or criticising the royal family, and it will pile pressure on the King. It's going to pile pressure on King Charles, even though, as you say, it's kind of pointless because he already agreed not to use the dukedom title. He can't be officially stripped, can he? Unless there is kind of
Parliament.
Yeah, right. Parliament needs to approve.
He's already agreed
allow the King to do it.
That he won't be dukedom. There is an interesting other story, which is that that was the late Queen's kind of indulgence, which maybe we can look at later on. It's the late Queen's indulgence towards Andrew, which has kind of left this unexploded bomb for King Charles to deal with.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why William is keen not to go into the next generation. And he's just much more woke about this. He's just like, this is not acceptable behaviour.
Yeah.
And I think...
Right, we are out of time, you two. But thank you very much indeed. It's fascinating, actually.
It is.
Right, they're back in a little bit. First, here's your weather with Greg.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Fairly chilly start, a patchy frost in places, but That's all change as the next weather system starts to move in from the Atlantic, bringing cloud and rain initially across Northern Ireland and Scotland this morning. Elsewhere, sunshine becoming limited to southeast England. But as we move through into the afternoon, that cloud and rain slowly pushing its way south and eastwards. So everywhere seeing some rain by the end of the day today. The wind's still coming in from a northwesterly direction, so still rather chilly out there, generally between 8 and 12 Celsius. So with the lack of sunshine, it will feel rather chilly. And as we head through into the evening time, the band of rain continues to slowly push its way southwards, so parts of central, southern England and Wales, a wet end to the day here. Some of the rain could be heavy at times over the higher ground. Behind the rain into parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland, we've got clearer spells here, but scattered showers. The showers most frequent across central and northern parts of Scotland. Some of these on the heavy side. Temperatures this evening around 4 to 7 Celsius, so rather chilly end to Sunday. And then overnight we see the cloud and rain continuing to push its way southeastwards into the near continent, though we will see further outbreaks of rain across southwest England into Wales, up into Northern Ireland as well. Frequent showers elsewhere, so it means temperatures overnight maybe not quite as low as they were last night, holding up around 4 to 9 Celsius, perhaps even double digits across some southern counties of England and Wales, where it will be a cloudy start on Monday morning. Outbreaks of rain continuing here through the day, but generally for most it will be a bright day on Monday. Sunny spells, scattered showers. The wind's still coming in from the north, so a fairly chilly direction, but some milder air trying to move into the south. So here temperatures a little higher on Monday, around 14 Celsius, but for many between 9 and 13, so still rather chilly. See you soon.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Epping Hotel sex offender remains at large.
Almost 2 days after police accidentally released the Ethiopian migrant from prison.
Well, now new footage shows Hadush Kabatu boarding a train to London, and also these pictures of him in a library as officers urged the fugitive to hand himself in.
There's more budget speculation, of course. It's heating up, with the Chancellor said to be considering a mansion tax.
More trouble for the government, it would appear, because Lucy Powell's been elected the Deputy Labour leader just 2 months after the Prime Minister sacked her.
Division and hate are on the rise. Discontent and disillusionment widespread. We've let Farage and his ilk run away with it. He wants to blame immigration for all the country's problems. We reject that.
MPs prepare to defy convention and discuss in Parliament stripping Prince Andrew of his titles for good, as the pressure builds on him to leave Royal Lodge.
If you feel quite rested this morning, that could be because you've had an extra hour's sleep. The clocks went back. It is just 7 o'clock this morning, not 8.
And the end of 350 years of tradition. Barristers have got the right now to go into court without wearing their wigs. What a scandal. Is it a loss, though, for British tradition?
Liverpool's slump continues. Brentford inflicts a 4th successive league defeat on the champions to leave their Premier League title defence in disarray. And in boxing, Fabio Wardley stuns Joseph Parker with a brutal 10th round stoppage at the O2.
Hello, some of us enjoyed an extra hour in bed last night with the clock change, and it's all changed with the weather today as well. Find out all the details coming up soon.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
I know it's a bit early for Christmas yet. Right, but Heston Blumenthal is unveiling his Christmas menu at the Fat Duck, which is, that very famous restaurant of his. Anyway,
he always disguises something as something it's not.
Yeah,
see what I mean?
But it's
pudding looks like a grape.
It's venison. So it's the main course is venison with beetroot, chestnuts, Brussels sprouts, and umbles.
Umbles.
Umbles, which are
do you think what's an umble?
An umble is the entrails of a deer.
Oh.
I mean, why would you want to?
I don't know. They always need to do something really weird.
It's really weird. Why would you want to eat that? And it costs you £450.
It's got you talking about it.
Per person.
It's got you talking about it on telly.
But I don't think many people will say, I don't mind spending 450 quid for an umble.
Yeah, I mean, this is the man who invented snail porridge.
Yeah.
Of course.
OK.
So...
But what he's doing is making a headline, I suppose.
Yeah, of course he is, yeah. But
I'll stick to soup, I think.
I think, stick to the traditional. Yeah, I think that'd be better.
I'll bring some in for you.
Yeah. Oh, very good, yeah, do that.
Yes, please do.
If you've got any extravagant Christmas dinners planned, do let us know. Or have you just ordered the food in from a supermarket, which is what most normal people do?
Yes, absolutely. And wake up, please. It's not the police who released the Epping migrant, it's the prison service. Absolutely. Sorry, I read it out instead of actually thinking... but it's officers, I think,
Yes, officers,
Officers, I think we'll say from now on.
Yes, what seems to be slightly worrying with that is that he does... it appears he tried to go back and ask why he was being let out.
5 times, apparently.
And they just told him to go away.
So he was released. Go! So we're being told.
There are failures. But the interesting thing is, we were saying in the last hour, there have definitely been failures at the bottom level, but the argument is that it should have been... It's systemic failure, isn't it? It's problems which have emerged from years of underfunding, actually, in all of this, and now it's starting to hit the bottom line. But, of course, it's only the people at the bottom that'll get kicked for it.
Yeah, but what is still extraordinary is that if you went back 5 times, you'd think somebody would have thought, why is he doing this? Is he who we think he is? Should we just check?
You'd think that would be common sense, wouldn't it? Anyway, as a result, because it has all happened and he's been allowed to walk free while serving his sentence, the manhunt for this sex offender migrant is intensifying.
Yeah, he's Hadish Kabatu now. We know his name as well as his face. It was last seen on Friday, just before 8 o'clock in the evening, in Hackney, North London.
We've got new CCTV footage. This is from last night. Showed the 41-year-old in a library wearing his prison tracksuit.
And that's as reports emerge that he tried to return to prison several times, but officers kept turning him away.
Let's talk to former Immigration Minister Kevin Foster, who joins us. Kevin, good to see you. With all of this, I mean, every time we read anything out about this story, I just have a complete sense of disbelief that this man in particular, with all the publicity around him, has just been not only let out, but actually turned away when he tried to come back.
Absolutely. This sounds like the script for a new Carry On film. You know, a man who was supposed to be being handed over to immigration enforcement. So the procedure with a criminal due to be deported, it would be at this level that the prison service says what day he's going to leave. He would then go from being held for a criminal sentence to being held under immigration powers, ready to be deported. And presumably in this instance, taken to an immigration removal centre, probably potentially the one close to Heathrow Airport, so that once the legal process was completed, it'd be very quick to get him on a plane. And it actually sounds like during the trial he said he may be prepared to go, which the Home Office would have welcomed. So to this mistake to have happened is absolutely mind-blowing. The idea even went back a few times and said sort of, you know, am I supposed to be going anywhere? And no one twigged who this was. It speaks to a real systemic failing. And yes, it'd be convenient to blame the actual prison officer who was at the front gate, but this is someone who should have been flagged throughout systems in the prison service, saying he's a high-risk offender to the public, as given his offences, and he's high profile as well. Of all the people due to be released, so to speak, from jail on Friday, this is the man who should have been flagged on every system.
And none of us want to sound sympathetic to this man. He is a criminal and he committed pretty despicable acts. A sex offender, as we now call him. But you do wonder about his level of understanding English or understanding at all what's happened to him. The fact that he's been caught, seen in a library, suggests that maybe he's trying to find things out, trying to do some research or something like that. And he hasn't changed out of his prison gear. He doesn't. It's almost as though he doesn't really understand what's happened to him. So is it reasonable or not to expect him, as the police are asking, to turn himself in? He might not even know how.
Well, it makes sense for the police to request any fugitive to turn themselves in, and particularly when the man's gone to the one place, it'll be like looking for a needle in a haystack to find him, London. A lot of people think if you're on the run, you know, head somewhere remote. Well, of course, if someone who isn't known shows up in a small village or a very small community, they're quickly recognised as someone new, and at least one person, given the coverage, would almost certainly contact the police. Yet in London, you know, you can hide in numbers. That said, the one advantage that the law enforcement agencies have is London has lots of CCTV. The Met can use facial recognition software. Of course, the Home Office will have this man's biometrics in terms of facial biometrics to be able to use some of that to try and track him down. But yes, his comprehension of what was going on, you know, the very fact that he went back to the prison so many times says this wasn't exactly a determined escape attempt. This was an administrative blunder. But yeah, the idea was walking around London later that day in prison gear, and you know, it still hasn't been found. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah, and you're quite right to point out, as these things are, everyone is graded. He will be classed as high risk, which is a concern. Where should the buck stop with this, Kevin?
I think you have to look at what the prison governor and the deputy prison governor were doing, along with the Ministry of Justice. Yes, clearly there's going to be some responsibility for the staff directly involved. But, you know, if you've got someone like this, and most prisons are used to dealing with high-risk offenders, you know, at the end of the day, that's what they're there for, is to keep the public safe from dangerous individuals. And particularly given the media attention this man had attracted to his trial, you would have assumed that there would have been in place a procedure, procedure, you know, a senior member of staff needing to sign off what happened to him, also actually processes in the prison itself. Given he is a sex offender and quite notorious, many on the general population in the prison would be targeting this guy. You know, he's not going to be popular amongst a lot of prisoners. So it's all the more extraordinary that he ended up, being literally let out the door and going back several times. As I say, it wasn't so serious. You could see this as the script to a carry-on film.
Yeah, but it is serious, but nobody seems to be taking any responsibility. Shouldn't David Lammy resign over this?
Well, I can remember David Lammy actually objecting to the deportation of serious criminals to Jamaica, being extremely hypocritical about the enforcement of laws he'd voted for when in the previous Labour government. It was me who had to deal with that particular UQ. So I welcome his conversion to enforcement of the law, but it does say that there wasn't really much of a grip over the whole department if this type of outcome can happen at a prison. This is someone who should have been flagged, should have been high risk. I can think without going into the case details of at least one where it was a high-profile person that we needed to remove from the country, and literally Priti Patel, as Home Secretary, had it sort of, you know, a weekly briefing on what was going to happen with this person to ensure exactly what should have happened Friday. The moment they finish their prison sentence, straight into detention under immigration powers, you know, doesn't walk out the door, you know, literally stays in custody throughout, ready for the deportation process to begin. It seems absolutely inexplicable that Labour ministers didn't think it should be done with this guy, given the public attention and the very toxic for Labour issue of asylum hotels.
OK. Kevin, appreciate your time, as always. Thanks very much indeed. Can you, I mean, I know you've mentioned the possibility of a resignation.
Mm-hmm.
That will not happen, because can you imagine, he's also Deputy Prime Minister.
Oh, yes.
So can you imagine losing two Deputy Prime Ministers in a matter of about 6 weeks?
Yes, and that would leave a vacancy that would be very interesting.
Well, also, I mean...
But anyway, it's not going to happen.
It wouldn't happen, no. I mean, it's not to say it shouldn't happen.
But what is disgusting is that this manhunt is being allowed to continue, and we can continue to be shocked by it, but nobody seems to be taking responsibility.
No.
Instead, people call for an inquiry. Well, how long would that take? Somebody needs to... I mean, if you're the boss, you take responsibility, don't you?
You should do.
Even if it's not your actual fault.
Well, that's traditionally what you do, but that all seems to have gone by the by, yeah. Mind you, sticking with the government, the Chancellor could be set to introduce a mansions tax in the budget.
It's made the front page lead of the Daily Mail, but you wonder are we just being sounded out about things?
Oh. I hope so.
Is plotting mansion tax raid on homes. Now, that would mean that anyone who owns a property worth more than £2 million would then face paying the Treasury an additional 1% on the difference between the £2 million,
and whatever it's worth,
and whatever it is actually worth. For example, that would probably mean the owners of a £3 million property would face an enormous bill every year of something like up to £10,000 extra.
Yeah. I mean, look, you might sit there and say, well, if you own a big house, great. But actually, it's not only that they might not have the money to pay it, they might not be cash rich, but it's also what does it then do to the rest of the housing chain, which is the backbone of our economy. So it's problematic. Yesterday, Labour, of course, elected their new Deputy Leader, Lucy Powell, and she used her speech to criticise the government's running of the economy, as well as what's going on with migration.
People feel that this government is not being bold enough in delivering the kind of change we promised. I'll be a champion for our Labour values and boldness in everything we do. And I know that you, Keir, as our leader, you want that too, and I will be your ally in that fight. It starts with us wrestling back the political megaphone and setting the agenda more strongly. Because let's be honest, we've let Farage and his ilk run away with it.
It was quite a speech for somebody so new to the job. In other political news, MPs are apparently, or at least some of them are, preparing to debate Prince Andrew's titles because the Lib Dems are intending to use their next opposition day to discuss Andrew's right to continue his titles. Although he gave them up, apparently willingly.
He still holds them.
He still holds them, yeah.
Right, political commentator Jennifer Powers is here. Morning, Jennifer.
Good morning.
Right,
where to start?
I was going to say, what
Busy
do we start
news day.
with? It is. Can we talk about mansion tax?
Yes.
because it seems to be a very simplistic, a very blunt tool, if you like, when you look at actually, if you take the time to look at what impact it could actually have on the housing market and therefore the economy.
Well, it made me think back to the original bad property tax, the window tax.
The window tax, yeah.
From, you know, more than 300 years ago. And if you walk around old parts of the city, you will still see these homes with the bricked up windows, which made the homes dark. There was lack of ventilation, and it still, you know, scars these beautiful Georgian townhouses today. And so I think you're quite right. We need to be thoughtful about the tax changes that come in, because they may have long-ranging repercussions and what it would do to the rest of the housing market. I mean, it would damage the value of these properties above whatever limit the government were to bring in. You'd then have a glut of properties just under that limit. You'd also perhaps punish lots of older households who were forced to sell their property because they couldn't cover the cost.
When a chancellor does something this radical, I mean, we had the poll tax riots during the Thatcher era as well. When they try and fundamentally change a tax that we all hate taxes, but we pay them and accept most of them, you inevitably cause real division in the population, because there are always people who will feel particularly hard done by. You mentioned farmers who are asset rich but cash poor, and there will be lots of pensioners like that around too.
Oh, absolutely, hundreds of thousands, if not millions. And you're quite right. And it's interesting with this new deputy leader of the Labour Party. It seems as though she wants to pull the Prime Minister and the government more to the left, and so there's this split. We talk about the centrists like Morgan McSweeney, and then we have Lucy Powell and others wanting to move the party to the left. And so perhaps this wealth tax, this mansion tax, is part of that bigger picture of looking to sort of soak the rich and have more of a harder left-wing edge to the government.
But the interesting thing about that is when it's... I mean, all right, people have got to pursue their own political ideals. I understand that. And we know a lot of the backbenchers would sort of sit behind what Lucy Powell is saying. But we also know when you look at the polling, you look where people are at the moment, actually, all she's saying is going to switch people off, switch a lot of people off and push those people who are perhaps teetering on the edge of saying, am I Conservative or am I Reform, push them more towards Reform.
It may well do. I mean, we are in unprecedented territory in terms of having this almost five-party political system now. But I mean, the point about distorting the housing market is well made, because we don't really know the full implications this would have. And there's a reason we don't have wealth taxes. There's a reason we don't have this sort of mansion tax, because it's very difficult to bring in politically, but also because it has such profound market distortionary impacts. And so these things may sound, you know, great as slogans, but as you say, will bring in potentially huge problems for the government.
Yeah. All right, Jennifer, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Pleasure. Yeah, it sparks division. What were you looking at?
It does. No, it was just David who got in touch saying, Stephen, David Lammy is not Deputy Prime Minister. Yes, he is.
Yes. It is confusing, though.
He is. He is Deputy Prime Minister.
He is. And Lucy Powell is...
Deputy Leader of the Party.
Deputy Leader of the Party.
Makes sense of that.
Very different, though.
Yeah.
But isn't it
really
interesting that she chose yesterday to make quite a scathing speech about... Starmer. I mean, she was very critical. She chose her words really carefully, but there was a dig.
Yeah,
quite a sharp
it's
dig.
a big headache for him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yet another.
Right, yes.
OK, supposing he looks out of the window, what sort of weather will it be for him? Will it cheer him up or not? Here's Greg Dewhurst.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Fairly chilly start, a patchy frost in places, but That's all change as the next weather system starts to move in from the Atlantic, bringing cloud and rain initially across Northern Ireland and Scotland this morning. Elsewhere, sunshine becoming limited to southeast England. But as we move through into the afternoon, that cloud and rain slowly pushing its way south and eastwards. So everywhere seeing some rain by the end of the day today. The wind's still coming in from a northwesterly direction, so still rather chilly out there, generally between 8 and 12 Celsius. So with the lack of sunshine, it will feel rather chilly. And as we head through into the evening time, the band of rain continues to slowly push its way southwards, so parts of central, southern England and Wales, a wet end to the day here. Some of the rain could be heavy at times over the higher ground. Behind the rain into parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland, we've got clearer spells here, but scattered showers. The showers most frequent across central and northern parts of Scotland. Some of these on the heavy side. Temperatures this evening around 4 to 7 Celsius, so rather chilly end to Sunday. And then overnight we see the cloud and rain continuing to push its way southeastwards into the near continent, though we will see further outbreaks of rain across southwest England into Wales, up into Northern Ireland as well. Frequent showers elsewhere, so it means temperatures overnight maybe not quite as low as they were last night, holding up around 4 to 9 Celsius, perhaps even double digits across some southern counties of England and Wales, where it will be a cloudy start on Monday morning. Outbreaks of rain continuing here through the day, but generally for most it will be a bright day on Monday. Sunny spells, scattered showers. The wind's still coming in from the north, so a fairly chilly direction, but some milder air trying to move into the south. So here temperatures a little higher on Monday, around 14 Celsius, but for many between 9 and 13, so still rather chilly. See you soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Still to come, barristers and judges can now no longer wear their wigs in court if they wish. So we're asking, is it a sign that Britain is losing its identity?
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
I thought I'd heard everything in terms of council insanity. But charging people £1,000 to park on their own driveway, this takes the biscuit.
I think, firstly, the amount that they are charging is a huge amount for parking on your own drive. But equally, that sheer amount and the threat of court action causes a lot of anguish and grief, especially to the older people, to vulnerable, to disabled people that I've all come across have had this. And to make it even worse, the council has not actually ever once collected the £1,000 fine. So they're sending letters out, threatening a £1,000 fine, and they've never, ever actually collected that fine. It just causes complete unnecessary misery for people.
Well, that's the definition of insanity. To threaten a £1,000 fine but not actually collect the fine. So what's the point?
I don't know what the point. There is a bit of a possible conflict of interest because the people sending out the letter are Balfour Beatty, who subcontract the roads for Southampton Council, and obviously they also will install drop curbs.
Yeah, funny that. So what's happening here is you get a £1,000 threat through the post, and by the way, if you want to avoid that, simply come to the council. And by the way, we can install one of these drop curbs in for you at a handsome price of £800. £800 to get a curb in outside your house when you don't need it. You can go up a normal curb as it is, and I put it to you, every Englishman's home is his castle. This is the violation of that.
Well, we've had cases where people are in council homes and they've been there for 40 years. They've been parking on their drive for 40 years, and suddenly they get a letter saying, sorry, £1,000 fine.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
The time is 7:24 already, and time is ticking if you want to get on with taking part anyway in the Great British Giveaway, because I think there's only about 5 days left. You know what the prize is by now, but here is exactly how to take part.
There's just 5 days left to enter the biggest giveaway of the year so far, with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. The coming year could be your best yet. But hurry, get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yeah, it's coming up to 7:26. Let me tell you, if I was a barrister or a judge, I couldn't get my wig on fast enough.
Exactly. If you've done years and years of legal training and you've got to the position of being a barrister or a judge, you'd want the wig.
You'd want it. You want to show off. I mean, well, it's not even just showing off, is it? But it's a point of status. It is the uniform. It should bring an element of respect with it.
And I always believe, well, exactly, and I always believed that that's what it was about, so that everybody looked the same. You know, the law, the people representing the law in that courtroom were all arguing from the same level.
Whether black, white, male, female, thin, fat, or anything else. You've got the wig on, therefore, you get the respect. Anyway, they won't have to wear the wig in court very soon. I mean, they can if they want, but they're not going to oblige to, which ends that 350-year-old tradition.
Yeah, apparently the rule was brought in, but it wasn't until the 17th century. You imagine it goes back well before then, but not. It was brought in to bring a sense of formality to the courtroom, and without it, or without the rule, some will, some won't. The judge surely must. I mean, are we losing something that makes Britain rather special, unique, different?
I think so. Let's talk to Reform Councillor Jamie McIver and political advisor Pablo O'Hannah. Good to see you both this morning. Pablo, what do you think? I mean, this is a key piece of tradition as well as being an important part of the legal uniform, isn't it?
It is part of our tradition, but it's left over from sort of Georgian days, and the sort of law kept it as a tradition. But I think, the guidance says use them when they help, skip them when they don't. I think fundamentally our justice system is about fairness, free speech, jury trials, and also the confidence to modernise. We're not losing ourselves here. We're sort of secure enough in our identity and in our culture to be practical and to ensure that our law and our court system remains fit for purpose and fit for the future. So I think, there is a slightly more serious issue about backlogs and support for victims and legal aid, which I think, our energy might be better spent fixing that rather than concerned about headwear.
Jamie, is it even important?
Well, there are far more important things that the legal system should be worrying about rather than trying to rip out more British identity, more British culture, more historical significance. But something more important, I noticed what you said about you'd want to wear it because of pride and status as someone that studied lots of years of law. I can share how I would probably feel the same if I had become a barrister. But there's something more important than being able to wear it for your pride in your profession. Actually, it's anonymity. That's one of the most profound things that the British legal system has. And actually, when you look at legal systems across the world, and many of them are actually televised, almost like reality TV, one thing I always notice when I'm watching those is how lucky I am to be British and how our courts have tradition. And of course, it's our legal system that showed the world. And the idea that because of the colour of somebody's skin and because of the type of hair that they might have, we are now going to break that tradition when many people of all backgrounds, of all cultures, of all skin types and hair types have operated in this legal system. Don't forget the British Empire across the world has a legal system that would have used these traditions. It is, I think, typical of modern Britain and typical of the woke left trying to change things. It's some sort of shame on Britain, I find, when I see these sorts of stories. I think we should stand against it.
That's an interesting point, Pablo, isn't it? If you boil it down to effectively saying, it's about the uniform element of this, it shows whatever people's own personal feelings or prejudices or assumptions. If you are in a courtroom and you are wearing one of the wigs of whatever description it is, whether you're a judge or a barrister, then it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, what skin colour you have or anything else, you are due the respect of an officer of that court. I mean, that's quite an important leveller, isn't it?
But I think, their respect is commanded by their position and where they are. I don't think it matters, what you wear. I mean, when we have head teachers and teachers, they can wear whatever they want. They're still in the positions of power that they are to deliver the lessons in the curriculum. I don't think that there isn't a necessity to have wearing this headpiece just to command the respect of the court. They are the judge. That's not going to change. They go through a lot to get there. And I don't think that we need to kind of force, a sort of slightly ancient tradition on them, as much as it is part of our history. But there are lots of things in our history that at some point you do have to move on from. No. And as I say, the uniqueness of our system is how open and equal the treatment is before the law. Those are still intact. But that tradition and that ability to modernise is what helps our legal system and indeed our culture and country to survive and to kind of adapt for the modern future.
No, I'm sorry. This is just what the British people are sick and tired with. Our historic traditions do not at some point have to become replaced or removed because we're trying to modernise. This is our country. It's our culture. You do not see other countries around the world strip out tradition because people don't fancy it anymore. This is what the British people are sick and tired with. Before we know it, people will be told not to sing the national anthem because it's too traditional and not modern. They'll be told, oh, it's okay if you're chairman of the council, you don't have to wear your chains in the meeting because, it might be heavy on your neck. This is just the ridiculous situation this country is finding itself in. What next? It's like people go out there hunting down British tradition and British culture and try and do whatever they can to find things and change them. I think it's actually an insult to the British people when we hear that argument made. I cannot believe that somebody has just said that on your programme. We cannot have a country where our traditions just slowly get trimmed away because I hate to say it, but I think it's the woke left and it's the woke left ideology that is infecting every single public organisation in this country.
Well, you both had your say on that one and we appreciate your time, both of you. Thank you very much indeed.
Of course, if you're a lawyer who wears a headscarf, you're a lady lawyer wearing a headscarf, difficult to wear a wig on top of it. And if you're a Sikh and you wear a turban, apparently in court, even if you're a barrister, you're already allowed to wear a turban as long as it's sober coloured.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I mean, I can understand that.
But
that's fine.
But the minute they allow it, they allow choice, it will break down anyway now, won't it?
I mean, loads of you getting in touch, actually. Steve says it's wiping out our history and British culture. Interestingly, and that's exactly what I thought, Debbie, when Pablo mentioned about, well, head teachers don't walk about in the fancy gowns and all the rest of it anymore. And Debbie says, and teachers don't get any respect at all.
They used to walk around in mortarboards and gowns, didn't they?
Yeah, I've got a feeling Mel Turner, my old head teacher when I was at secondary school, I'm sure at the beginning at least, he used to walk about in a roby thing. Not a mortarboard, but I'm sure he had like a roby thing.
But they certainly all wore their roby things on speech day and things like that, didn't they? And that was rather nice to see.
Yeah, and I do think that in schools we are lacking respect.
Although my head teacher never wore anything like that. She just looked like a dragon and walked around the school like a dragon, and we had utter respect for her.
Well, that's fine if it works.
Miss Harvey.
I think you should be a little bit afraid of some people. Like, you should be a little bit afraid of a police officer, if you could, especially as a kid. If you're doing something, it's about respect. That little bit of fear. I'm not saying you go too far with it, but a little bit of fear is not a bad thing.
But now barristers have won the right to actually choose, it will start to break down, won't it?
Yeah, it will. It's bound to. It's bound to. The robes will be going
So
next.
there you are, it's gone. That would be a shame.
Sue says clothing is a representation of who or what you are.
It is, sort of, yeah.
Anyway, still to come for you. We've got the sport with Aidan. Liverpool defeated at Brentford. We'll be going through that and today's Premier League lineup in just a moment.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, it's time to go through the sport now. Aidan is here. What are we kicking off with?
Man United, yeah, exactly. Look, 3 wins in a row in the Premier League for them. First time in a while that's happened. We have that guy, don't we? He's growing his hair until...
Oh, yes.
How long has it been? 18 months, is it? Or
something like that. It's huge.
He's waiting for Man United to win 5 matches in a row. I don't know if it's league or it's all competition.
So how close is he to a haircut?
Well, it's 3 now, 3 in a row. So he needs 2 more. I need to check who they're playing next.
Such a change.
I know. I think they're benefiting from the fact that they're not in European competition this year. So they're concentrating on the league. as the old adage goes. And Brighton are a team they've struggled against in recent years. They've lost their last 3 matches at home against them. They've lost 6 of the last 7 against them. Brighton are a very competent side. They've already been to Chelsea and won this season, as Sunderland did yesterday. And the 2 strikers who they paid big money on, Matthias Cunha and Brian Mbeumo, who signed from Brentford, both scored yesterday. And they're up to the dizzy heights of 4th in the table on 16 points, just 4 points off Arsenal. Who'd have said that just a few weeks ago when they were being dumped out of the Cup by Grimsby Town? So resurgent Man United for now, still early in the season though. We're just almost not even in November yet, are we? So there's plenty of time to go. But I just do think that with that reduced calendar, that reduced schedule, it might play into their hands, because we saw with Liverpool yesterday, they've had loads of games at the start of the season. They were getting late goals in the first 5 weeks, weren't they? But now they're running into that traffic of matches, and I think it's four Premier League defeats in a row. I think 5 and 6 in all competitions, and it just shows how quickly things can change. You spend £445 million in the summer, you win your first few games, everyone thinks, well, Arsenal are out of it. Arsenal win today, and they could potentially go 3 or 4 points clear. They've got Crystal Palace at 2 o'clock.
I'll tell you what's going to be, talking about things changing very quickly, Forest today playing Bournemouth.
Yeah, as favourites.
But I mean, I think that's it. I mean, if Sean Dyche pulls off another win,
yes,
that's going to be that. I mean, that's an immediate turning of the
I know.
tide.
Well, this is why they changed their managers. They're looking for that immediate bounce, a different voice going into the dressing room. And you'll be amazed that
His success with Bournemouth will have been noticed right throughout the football community. Does that mean his value starts to go up?
The manager at Bournemouth, Areola, I mean, I think he'll be the next one off the rank when it comes to big clubs looking for a manager, because he's had a sustained period of success. And to lose all those players, Anne, in the summer and just seamlessly replace them with a bunch of unknowns is extraordinary. It really is, because it begs the question, well, why didn't United buy these players when they were nobodies? Yeah. Why didn't Liverpool buy them instead of spending 4?
This afternoon.
It is, yeah, it is. And the big game in Scotland today as well. We don't mention Scotland as often as we should, but Hearts play Celtic. No side has won the SPFL division since, I think it was 84, when Sir Alex Ferguson managed Aberdeen. And I think maybe 85, actually. But it's always Celtic and Rangers. And today, if Hearts, who've just been bought into by the owner of Brighton and Hove Albion, he went there and thought, well, it's somewhere I can put my players, and maybe if they're any good, I can bring them down to the Premier League. Well, if Hearts win today at midday at Tynecastle against Celtic, they go 8 points clear, and that will make the title race extremely interesting from here on in.
I'm getting very confused by the Ashes.
Are you?
But I am, because we've got 2 sets of Ashes now, haven't we? We've got the Rugby Ashes and then we've got the Cricket Ashes.
Yeah. Rugby League. I've still yet to find out whether there is actual Ashes. I don't think there are. I think it's just a name.
Yeah.
But look, England were shown up yesterday, let's be honest, 26-6 they lost to Australia. I'll tell you what, they pulled in a good crowd actually at Wembley. It's very much a northwest thing really, or certainly a northern thing, Lancashire and Yorkshire. There are 1 or 2 outliers elsewhere in the country, but to get 60,500 at Wembley yesterday was pretty good. They're going to be playing Everton, or at Everton next week. That'll be a full house. And I wonder whether the dynamic will change slightly, because you'll get a more rarefied atmosphere. The Aussies might find it a bit tougher, but the England coach was very disappointed. There was a severe gap in class. Now, everybody thinks that because the Super League in Rugby League is a really good competition, you think, well, England must be good or Great Britain must be good, but it's packed full of Australian players. That's why it's good. And we saw yesterday just their calibre at Wembley yesterday. 26-6.
All right, Aidan. Thank you very much indeed.
Well.
Now, find out which common breakfast food is going to be labelled as junk food going forward. We're going through the newspapers, you see, with Emma Wolf and Christo Fufas, who'll be telling us all about that and other news stories next. First of all, though, if you're after some holiday sun, and who isn't at the moment, here are the top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. We've got showers and longer spells of rain across western parts of the Mediterranean at the moment. Further east, some warm sunshine. We can see Madeira seeing some showery outbreaks of rain for the next few days. Temperatures in the low 20s. The risk of a few showers for southern Spain and Portugal. But in the sunshine, temperatures above average. Plenty of dry weather across Italy and Greece at the moment. Temperatures 25, 26 Celsius. So feeling warm in that sunshine, and it stays pretty settled the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Afternoon Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Prince William has launched this new national suicide prevention campaign around the country, £1 million of funding, helping organisations in each country within the United Kingdom. In order to launch it, he spoke to one mother with a very powerful story and actually got the most emotional I've ever seen him. So let's take a look at that clip, if we can.
Just like to sit him down like this and just say, why didn't you come to me? Because he's missed out on just so much joy and we would have been okay. You okay?
I'm sorry, it's hard to ask you questions that
and
I know.
Hard
no,
and
it is.
you've experienced loss yourself.
So that lady, Rianne there, her 1-year-old son died of pneumonia. And 5 days later, her husband, the son's father, took his own life. He killed himself. And what Rianne was telling the prince there was why she didn't have any signs. Why didn't you talk to me about this? Why didn't you say that you were struggling? And that's why the prince got so emotional. Of course, he's campaigned a lot for mental health provision and also to break down the stigmas when it comes to male mental health. And of course, with his own personal story of losing his mother so young, I think it just hit William quite hard.
Oh, he's so lovely, isn't he? What a beautiful man.
So often in these conversations, we talk about young people, we talk about schoolgirls' mental health, very, very important, of course. But we aren't seeing an epidemic of suicide there. We're seeing an epidemic of suicide amongst men in their 30s and their 40s.
Yeah.
This is a specifically male issue for people that, aren't super young or super old. This is a specific problem for a specific demographic that doesn't often get spoken about.
The People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, going through the papers at 7:46 with Emma Wolfe and Christo Fufas. Good morning. Let's talk junk food. The latest junk food in the Sunday Telegraph. Do not eat this.
Oh dear, these are the latest efforts from the government to tackle our huge obesity problem in the UK. So the majority of yoghurt, cereal and fruit juices are now going to be reclassified from healthy, which they are classified now as, to unhealthy. They're not going to be at the front of supermarket stores. They're not going to be near the checkouts. They're not going to be allowed to be advertised before 9 p.m. And you're not going to be able to do the buy one, get one free. And look, I think we can all agree. So they're going to be classified as HFSS, high in fat, sugar and salt. Lots of them are. We know that fruit yogurts are very, very high in sugar. Absolutely, cereals can be shockingly high in sugar. But nobody actually got morbidly obese from eating yogurts or fruit juice. I think that the focus for obesity has to be on people who are eating, a vast quantity of fried food, saturated fats, all of that stuff that's terrible for your heart. Obviously, having said that, you shouldn't be feeding your children very, very sugary foods, cereals, breakfast cereals especially.
About a yoghurt,
but this is just so misguided.
They're in such small pots. Yeah, they are like a little treat. You don't sit down and eat.
A little treat at the end of a meal, a little sweet treat, and they are too sweet. And you can get, Greek yogurt and things that aren't terribly high in all of those sugars. It's just it's an odd message to send that yogurt and cereal and fruit juice. Fruit juice is very, very sugary, and I would always say, have the orange. Eat the orange, don't have a thing of...
natural sugars in them.
They tend to be natural.
It depends if they're concentrated or not. It depends on the type. And this is the thing for me. To me, this is a labelling story. Rather than banning, what we should be doing is the government... There is a role for the state in this, but I don't think it's to ban. It's to say, right, you can't sell this yoghurt as a healthy
item.
Stop it being called healthy.
Healthy. You have to label what is in it, and we need to educate parents about what is in these things. Because I'm telling you now, and I have starved myself and stuffed myself in my life, and no one. And it was never the fact that there was a buy one get one free or anything else that made me do that. It was the fact that I wanted to. So the other thing is you've got to get to the psychology of why people are abusing themselves with food.
On to the next story that you wanted to talk about, which is the advertising.
Well, yes.
Certain foods.
So because of it's exactly the same thing. So because of the fact that these foods are considered to be high fat and high saturated fat and the like, now they're going to ban TV adverts of Christmas pudding and mince pies because they're saying that this fits in this criteria. So adverts showing food high in fat and sugar, all due to be banned before 9 o'clock, meaning that we're going to end up with mince pies and Christmas pudding being banned. And again, that's a seasonal food. Has
anyone ever eaten 10 Christmas puddings? For goodness sake. I mean, they're
even
pretty
in my
rich.
lowest moment where I was found in the corner covered in cream cake sobbing, it was never Christmas pudding.
Exactly.
It was never Christmas pudding. And it's so annoying because it screams of, we're doing something rather than doing the right thing. And this is, there was that ridiculous story here in London of there was a show, a stage show in London, a theatre show, where it was about a wedding and there was a wedding cake on the poster, and Sadiq Khan had banned the poster because it was showing a wedding cake. The poster, it was banned because you can't show high-fat foods on a poster on London's Underground.
And
it wasn't for the food, it was for a stage show.
And yet we have a Deliveroo and Uber and Just Eat and many other, delivery options are available. Kind of crisis where people are ordering in vast amounts of unhealthy food. They're not even moving to get it. It's coming to their door.
And why are they doing that? That's the problem. Why are they doing that? It's the psychology behind it.
It's the obesogenic environment that we live in, where you walk through an airport and every single outlet is basically, have you not just had a coffee? You need a coffee now. Do you just need a latte that is 5,000 calories in your eggnog glass? Like that, you constantly are told to be eating and snacking. And I see it with children all the time. If they don't have a snack constantly with them and a fruit juice, there's something wrong. They don't do that in France. In France, children are allowed to get hungry. That's good for them. In between meals, they get hungry. That's how you know when it's time to eat. Then you have 3 meals a day, not 17 mini snacks and meals.
We've become a society where it is now normal and completely acceptable to eat while you're walking along.
On
public transport everywhere.
Constantly.
Yeah,
you used to sit down at a table.
There is really something to be said for having those 3 meals and actually working up an appetite in between and doing and moving and doing things like doing the cleaning and the washing. Whereas now we have robotic things, doing other things.
I live near a bus stop, and the children in the morning while waiting for the school bus are all eating stuff that they just bought.
But it's the sweet stuff. Yeah. It's the really, really sweet stuff. So I see where the yogurt and the fruit juice thing comes from. You don't want to be giving a 6-month-old baby orange juice. You shouldn't be. No. They should be having milk or water, as we did.
This is a 20, 30-year problem to solve, because I would also solve this by actually making cookery a GCSE subject.
Essential.
You should know how to make a bolognese, a shepherd's pie, a roast chicken. That you should learn that in school, and then you should make it as part of the science curriculum. This is protein, this is carbohydrate. You're now going to cook these things, and then you know how to make things from scratch. So you don't immediately think, I'm going to go to a takeaway.
We used to do it.
Yeah. Well, it used to be, but in my school it was always for the stupid children.
Oh no, we all.
They used to bake cakes.
Home ec.
That's what they told us. All right, you two, thank you. We'll see you later.
See you.
Here's the weather.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Fairly chilly start, a patchy frost in places, but That's all changed as the next weather system starts to move in from the Atlantic, bringing cloud and rain initially across Northern Ireland and Scotland this morning. Elsewhere, sunshine becoming limited to southeast England. But as we move through into the afternoon, that cloud and rain slowly pushing its way south and eastwards. So everywhere seeing some rain by the end of the day today. The wind's still coming in from a northwesterly direction, so still rather chilly out there, generally between 8 and 12 Celsius. So with the lack of sunshine, it will feel rather chilly. And as we head through into the evening time, the band of rain continues to slowly push its way southwards, so parts of central, southern England and Wales, a wet end to the day here. Some of the rain could be heavy at times over the higher ground. Behind the rain into parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland, we've got clearer spells here, but scattered showers. The showers most frequent across central and northern parts of Scotland. Some of these on the heavy side. Temperatures this evening around 4 to 7 Celsius, so rather chilly end to Sunday. And then overnight we see the cloud and rain continuing to push its way southeastwards into the near continent, though we will see further outbreaks of rain across southwest England into Wales, up into Northern Ireland as well. Frequent showers elsewhere, so it means temperatures overnight maybe not quite as low as they were last night, holding up around 4 to 9 Celsius, perhaps even double digits across some southern counties of England and Wales, where it will be a cloudy start on Monday morning. Outbreaks of rain continuing here through the day, but generally for most it will be a bright day on Monday. Sunny spells, scattered showers. The wind's still coming in from the north, so a fairly chilly direction, but some milder air trying to move into the south. So here temperatures a little higher on Monday, around 14 Celsius, but for many between 9 and 13, so still rather chilly. See you soon.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I think for far too long in this country, millions of people felt as though they weren't represented at all by the establishment media.
GB News was needed because there literally was no other voice. Everyone was saying the same thing.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
But journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
Charlie Peters, he gave a voice to the victims of grooming gangs, and now, of course, it's led to a national inquiry.
GB News exists to make sure those concerns are put forward and people feel as though what they want to ask is put to those in power.
We don't take orders from anyone. We ask the questions our viewers and listeners want answering.
I know what's actually being discussed by my family and my friends. Us ordinary, hard-working British people have had enough. We've had enough.
They're fed up with the same old establishment nonsense. Everything that we do is opening up conversations that others are afraid to go at.
Why are you illegally bringing people into Britain?
That is our job. Our job is to get to the truth.
If it's important to you watching or listening at home, then it's important to us as well.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good morning. The Epping Hotel sex offender remains at large.
Almost 2 days after officers accidentally released the Ethiopian migrant from prison.
Well, new footage showed Hadush Kabati. We've got various bits, one boarding a train, the other in this London library as officers urged the fugitive to hand himself in.
Yeah, he was last seen on Friday evening at just before 8 o'clock in East London in Dalston with a distinctive avocado bag. Police want anyone who might have seen him to get in touch.
Meanwhile, there's more budget speculation as the Chancellor is said to be considering a mansion tax.
Could be more trouble for the government, and that's because of Labour's new deputy leader, Lucy Powell. She's got the job just 2 months after the Prime Minister sacked her.
Division and hate are on the rise. Discontent and disillusionment widespread. We've let Farage and his ilk run away with it. He wants to blame immigration for all the country's problems. We reject that.
Now, MPs are apparently preparing to defy convention and discuss in the House stripping Prince Andrew of his titles for good, while there is pressure building up, of course, on him to move out of Royal Lodge.
If you're rather confused at all the timings this morning, just a reminder that the clocks went back an hour last night. Of course, it's marking the build-up to the darkest day of the year.
And what's in a name? As a slew of celebrities snap up the big roles on the West End stages, Sir Tim Rice will tell us why it's harder than ever to make it big on stage.
Good morning. Liverpool's slump continues. Brentford inflict a fourth successive league defeat on the champions to leave their Premier League title defence in disarray. And in boxing, Fabio Wardley stuns Joseph Parker with a brutal 10th round stoppage at a packed O2.
Hello, some of us enjoyed an extra hour in bed last night with the clock change, and it's all changed with the weather today as well. Find out all the details coming up soon.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
loads of you getting in touch on banning adverts and things for Christmas puddings. Mick says it's part of the loony left's de-Christianisation of Britain. I don't know if I got that, but I do think it's too heavy-handed. Matt says I'm going to fly my figgy pudding flag.
Yes, why not?
I mean, you know, Christmas. No one in their right mind thinks Christmas pudding is healthy.
No,
it's not meant to be healthy.
But I don't think anyone formed a lifelong obesity problem from eating too much Christmas pud.
No,
some different flavour ones now as well.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, I was in a shop the other day in a restaurant, and they were actually selling Christmas cakes. One of them was limoncello. Sounded quite nice, I thought.
Nice.
Yeah, I like the tradition. Yeah. I like the tradition. I mean, you literally eat it on Christmas Day and Boxing Day.
Yeah. I always cook it, serve it, set fire to it. Everybody goes, ooh, and nobody eats it.
I'll tell you what, about the Christmas ads, nobody's told the service stations of the UK, that's for sure. I mean, I was in plenty this week coming back from Swansea, and there was Christmas advertising everywhere. Yeah, particularly chocolate, confectionery, that kind of thing.
They're selling baubles in one of the high street shops I went into the other day. The Christmas trees and the baubles are all out.
Yeah, it'll start.
It's too early.
Yeah. Is it too early? Tony says, no news on the boxing from last night.
Yes.
Of course, where have you been?
We'll be doing it in the next hour as well. Or this hour.
We're talking a lot about the boxing.
Yeah.
We have. Yeah.
Great fight.
It was a cracking match. 10 rounds?
It was indeed, yeah. The stoppage and a shock result as well.
Yeah. All right, well, stay tuned for that, Tony, because Aidan will be back with all the details for you very shortly. In the meantime, the manhunt for the sex offender migrant accidentally freed is intensifying.
Hadush Kabatu was last seen on Friday, just before 8 o'clock in the evening, in Hackney, North London.
We've got more footage released last night showing the 41-year-old in a library in his prison tracksuit.
And that's as reports are still emerging that he tried to return to prison several times, but officers kept turning him away. They were saying, no, you're released, go. And then he asked the way to the station and they told him it's down there. And I mean, what the heck?
It's beggars belief. Our national reporter is Will Godley. He's at New Scotland Yard. So we're saying it's intensifying, Will. I mean, they have got at least something to work on, have they?
Well, the police say they've not seen Kabatu for now some 36 hours. Last seen, of course, in Hackney just before 8 p.m. on Friday night. This area of East London would have been filled with young people. It's a hip, trendy area of London, full of people out for drinks, out for their Friday evening. And they're police keen to speak with anyone who might have seen Kabatu on Friday evening. They said, although he's still in that grey prison tracksuit, the tracksuit he was released from Chelmsford prison in on Friday morning, he has got a new, very distinctive bag. It's a white tote bag with avocados on it, and they're hoping that anyone who might have seen him with that bag to get in touch with them. They want anyone who might have seen him to get in touch immediately by calling 999. That's as police have deployed additional officers to Hackney to carry out further searches to try and establish his movements in the last 36 hours. Of course, hasn't been seen since then. He was seen earlier on Friday in a Dalston library, and earlier on yesterday, police said they're carrying out all additional inquiries, pursuing every single line of inquiry that they get, and of course, lots of that will be eyewitness accounts, people saying they might have seen him, but it seems at the moment they are still appealing for him to directly hand himself in. Yesterday, of course, the Metropolitan Police gave a media statement asking for Kabatu, wherever he was, to turn himself into a police custody so he could be deported back to Ethiopia. Of course, East London is where they're focusing their search at the moment. That's after he got off a train on Friday early afternoon in Stratford after boarding that in Chelmsford at 12:42 on Friday afternoon. And that we're also hearing, as you said, reports from an eyewitness who saw Kabatu being released from Chelmsford prison in the morning of Friday, about 10:10. This was an eyewitness who describes himself as a delivery driver called Sim. He said he saw Kabatu being released. He said he was confused, seemed to be upset, and returned back to prison 4 or 5 times, telling prison officers, what do I do? Where do I go? And they said to him, according to this eyewitness, you're released, you should go. They pointed him in the directions to the train station, about a 20-25 minute walk away from the prison. Mr. Kabatu, according to this eyewitness, seemed to be very confused and upset, not really knowing what to do, loitering around the prison for about an hour and a half before, of course, strolling into Chelmsford city centre, into the high street, asking people for directions before then walking to that train station, getting into East London. As we now know, the police focusing their searches on there. As they said yesterday, he might have access to additional funds, might explain that he's managed to have some accommodation for the last few nights. We don't know where that might be. Of course, the police will be wanting to establish that and also wanting to speak with anyone who might have seen him in the last 36 hours. But of course, the fact that this eyewitness says he tried to go back to prison 4 or 5 times, he says he was supposed to be deported, he wasn't supposed to be released, brings about a whole new set of questions about exactly how this could possibly happen. We already understand that a prison service officer has been removed from duties, but it seems now it's not just one person who made a mistake here, but a whole group of people who have made a catastrophic error. Of course, the Prime Minister has described this as totally unacceptable. David Lammy wants a full investigation to work out exactly how this has happened, but for now it's the police working around the clock to establish where Kabatu is 44 hours after the alarm was first raised.
Very much indeed. That does bring us up to date, but it is extraordinary that he is still, I was going to say, on the run. Is that fair?
I don't think that is fair. I mean, we're not trying to shed any sympathy on the man, but he's not on the run, is he? He didn't
escape.
He didn't escape.
He was sort of turfed out. He fully expected to be bundled in another van and taken to wherever he would be deported. And he had already indicated that he was OK about being deported back to Ethiopia.
Also, I think it's worth considering. I mean, he's got a new bag.
Yes.
He's also, I mean, it's several nights. It's been very cold. Is he sleeping on the streets, or is he in a hostel?
Or is that why he's in a library? Because it is at least warm.
Yeah, but it'd be closed at night.
He'd be closed at night, yeah.
But if he's in a hostel, the people in the hostel should be aware of who he is. They really should be making. You know, you'd think they'd be aware. This is, you know, it's in the news, isn't it? It's been top story for a couple of days. They should know, and something has to be done. It's not right. He's always said he wants to go back to Ethiopia, so let's help him out.
It's our fault he's out, actually, funnily enough. It's not his, but that's not to have any sympathy for the man. He's a criminal.
And a high-risk offender at the moment. That's how he's classified.
But he may well be, at a loss to do what to do himself.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Makes no sense at all.
At this point, people often say heads will roll, but will they?
I don't know.
Nobody seems to be taking any responsibility.
The only heads that look like they're going to roll any time soon could be anyone who, I mean, particularly older people, whose properties have reached too high a value, because the Chancellor looks like she might want to introduce a mansions tax in the budget.
That would mean that anyone who owns, for instance, a property worth more than £2 million, although we don't yet know where Rachel Reeves would put that bar, but say it's a house worth more than £2 million, they would face paying an awful lot more to the Treasury, probably the difference, a much higher tax rate on the difference between the £2 million and whatever it is then valued. And who values it, anyway?
Well, exactly.
How do you know how to value it? Nobody in the housing market at the moment seems to know how to value a home. A flat one of my sons was looking at it said between 500,000 and 625,000.
Oh.
I mean, that's a ridiculous between.
Well, yeah, but you also know if the government was looking at something like that, they'd go for the higher figure.
Well, yes, of course.
They'd go for the higher figure.
That suggests that not even the estate agents know how to value a house at the moment because nothing's shifting. Anyway, let's talk to political commentator Theo Usherwood, who joins us now. It does seem madness. Are we being tested? It's made the front page lead of the Mail on Sunday that Rachel Reeves is plotting this mansion tax. Is it just yet another tester?
I think there is perhaps a little bit more credence to this idea of a mansions tax. I mean, you've been discussing in the last couple of hours, of course, Lucy Powell becoming deputy leader of the Labour Party, and we're going to see this increasingly now as a result of that victory, but also discontent within the Labour Party at the way Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are managing things, pressure from the left to be more quote-unquote Labour. And that was the call that we heard particularly from Labour Welsh Assembly members after that defeat to Plaid Cymru in the Caerphilly by-election. The result which came in on Friday was that they were hearing on the doorstep that Labour wasn't being Labour enough. And this is one way that Rachel Reeves can prove to the left of the party that she really does have their best interests at heart. Now, of course, for many of your viewers, they will be very concerned that their property could be valued at more than £2 million. If so, the idea that's being is now under, I think, serious discussion is that for properties of £2 million or more, there is a 1% mansion tax, so that if your property is at £3 million, then you will pay a £10,000 a year surcharge. Now, of course, many pensioners will live in properties that are of high value and will be on a fixed income and will be unable to pay that surcharge, let's say, of £10,000 a year, and therefore you would think that it would be deferred. This would probably be the preferable option until they move out of that property or they die, and then there would be a huge bill at the end of it that would come with the inheritance tax.
Yeah, which could in effect wipe out the whole value of the property. Anyway, I mean, it makes inheritance an entire joke. I mean, are they not learning anything? Because doesn't this, being asset rich and cash poor, doesn't that sound like farmers' tax?
Very similar, Stephen. Very similar to what they did to the farmers, but they're making a political calculation, Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer, that this idea will be popular with the left of the party, with Labour core support, Labour members, and that's the base that they have to shore up at the moment. They're not necessarily thinking about the wider economy. They're not necessarily thinking about decisions that will affect the housing market, because, of course, if we see a stagnation at the very top of the housing market, that will filter down and mean that it's harder for people to buy properties and get on the housing ladder all the way down to the bottom.
Forgive me, Theo, why aren't they thinking about the housing market? Because that is the very backbone of our economy. By stimulating the housing market, as the Tories said the other day, by scrapping stamp duty, that's how you stimulate the housing market, and that's how you get growth in the economy.
Completely agree. I don't disagree with the words you've said, Stephen. I think you're 100% right. And Kemi Badenoch, when she made that announcement at the Conservative Party conference, was widely praised for it, because if you strip away stamp duty, you get people moving, you get people more likely to take up other jobs because they know they can move house easily without being hit by stamp duty. You get people employing builders, plumbers, electricians when they want to do up their property, not to mention the estate agents and the surveyors and solicitors, and then the trips to John Lewis and IKEA to furnish those new properties. But of course, that's a way to get economic growth. But Rachel Reeves has other considerations in mind, and it's not the only policy that's being discussed at the moment, which will, economists and experts are warning could have a very detrimental effect on the economy. Yesterday, there was talk that she could increase the living wage by 4%. Well, we know employers like Sainsbury's, the hospitality industry, the CBI, they're very cautious about the Chancellor putting up the living wage to £12.80 potentially, because of course it will mean that employers are less likely to take people on. They'll drum their fingers on the table and think, well, actually, I'm not going to employ that person because they're too expensive. And that's before, of course, you get to the workers' rights. And from next April, it's going to be law that employers have to introduce statutory sick pay from day one. And all of these measures, economists are arguing, will hit economic growth and stagnate, lead to Rachel Reeves not getting hitting the targets she wants to when it comes to economic growth.
Well, we'll have to leave it there. There's so much more, particularly on domestic politics at the moment. The elevation of Lucy Powell to deputy leader of the party. Is she going to be a thorn in Keir Starmer's side? Thank you so much, Theo. We haven't got time to go into that, but there's some extraordinary photographs in the papers today of them looking so uncomfortable with each other.
Yeah.
Front page of the Sunday Times, just one. They're looking so uncomfortable.
I just don't... I mean, Greg... it's because we've got Greg coming up next. Theo put it absolutely right when he said all these things would seem to actually stunt growth. And yet we're still hearing from the Chancellor about growth, change and growth. But she hasn't done anything to stimulate growth in the economy. She's only brought in things which appear to stunt growth. So how does that make any sense to anybody? So
Maybe
I don't
it's
understand.
just a case of the more you say it, the more some people will believe it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Seems extraordinary, doesn't it? Anyway, while you scratch your head over that one, let's have a look at the weather with Greg Dewhurst.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Fairly chilly start, a patchy frost in places, but that's all change as the next weather system starts to move in from the Atlantic, bringing cloud and rain initially across Northern Ireland and Scotland this morning. Elsewhere, sunshine becoming limited to southeast England. But as we move through into the afternoon, that cloud and rain slowly pushing its way south and eastwards. So everywhere seeing some rain by the end of the day today. The wind's still coming in from a northwesterly direction, so still rather chilly out there, generally between 8 and 12 Celsius. So with the lack of sunshine, it will feel rather chilly. And as we head through into the evening time, the band of rain continues to slowly push its way southwards. So parts of central, southern England and Wales, a wet end to the day here. Some of the rain could be heavy at times over the higher ground. Behind the rain into parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland, we've got clearer spells here, but scattered showers. The showers most frequent across central and northern parts of Scotland. Some of these on the heavy side. Temperatures this evening around 4 to 7 Celsius. So rather chilly end to Sunday. And then overnight we see the cloud and rain continuing to push its way southeastwards into the near continent, though we will see further outbreaks of rain across southwest England into Wales, up into Northern Ireland as well. Frequent showers elsewhere. So it means temperatures overnight maybe not quite as low as they were last night, holding up around 4 to 9 Celsius, perhaps even double digits across some southern counties of England and Wales, where it will be a cloudy start on Monday morning. Outbreaks of rain continuing here through the day, but generally for most it will be a bright day on Monday. Sunny spells, scattered showers. The wind's still coming in from the north, so a fairly chilly direction, but some milder air trying to move into the south. So here temperatures a little higher on Monday, around 14 Celsius, but for many between 9 and 13, so still rather chilly. See you soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Right, still to come, we're going to talk to Sir Tim Rice, of course, the lyricist behind fantastic shows like The Lion King, Jesus Christ Superstar.
Evita.
I mean, so many. He's a bit worried about what's happening in the West End. Because if you go to the West End now, you see a celebrity rather than a proper actor.
Or proper singer, yes, absolutely. They were in the business, him and particularly Andrew Lloyd Webber, but he worked with other people as well. They were in the business of getting really properly trained actors and singers, and they became stars because of how brilliant they were on stage. And it's sort of gone the other way around now. Is that something to worry about if you're a theatre goer?
We'll find out in a minute.
Five hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and this is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Sumo is a fantastically simple sport to win. There's only really two win conditions. You either drive your opponent out of the doyo, the ring, or you take them to the ground. And when we say take them to the ground, any part of their body other than the soles of their feet which touches the ground, that counts as a loss. Now, how you do this can vary. It varies between wrestlers and their backgrounds and styles. Some will be more focused on the driving and the pushing. Some, particularly with the judo background, more focused on the throws. There is kind of a core of winning techniques, which we call kimarite, and they're kind of standard winning techniques. But realistically, any technique you use to get your opponent either out or down, you'll win the match.
But the two that we're seeing on the screen look actually quite lightweight sumos, because I've seen some really heavy sumos, but with that weight, they are incredibly flexible. Like the one earlier was doing the box splits. I mean, there he is. Look at that. That is not an easy. I'm training to do the box splits, and I can't do that. And look at him. He's going to roll all the way through as well. Rob, they're very fit, aren't they? But these ones look lighter.
So they are incredibly fit athletes, and I think one of the things people forget when they look at sumo or they look at rikishi is that they are athletes, you know, and to a degree we're looking at two sumo wrestlers standing next to each other, and so they look normal size in comparison to each other. In terms of their body fat percentage, it's actually very, very low.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now, if you're a fan of a musical, you might have noticed a growing trend of celebs, and I've seen one of these, a reality star or a YouTuber on the West End stage.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't know their name. And
No.
you think, how are they famous? And it's because it's a show that you haven't seen on the telly. Anyway, everyone from Cheryl Cole, for instance, to Lily Allen, and even Love Island stars have taken their turn, and they star and they get the big parts in popular shows, in musicals.
Is it taking opportunities away, though, from working actors? Should there be a change of culture? Well, Sir Tim Rice thinks so, and he joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
What is going on? Is it this sort of weird celeb culture that we seem to be so immersed in now?
Well, I've got to disagree with your statement. I'm not worried about it at all.
Oh.
I love stars, and I think an awful lot of shows make it because there are stars and people come to the theatre. For example, the brilliant Kenny Wax, who's a top producer, points out that with Tom Holland in Romeo and Juliet, it brings people to the theatre who might not have gone otherwise. But basically, I don't think there's a major problem. I think word of mouth is the most important thing. And if a show is good, you tell your pals, you tell your mates. And if your friend says it's good, you'll go. And if it's a big name and a friend says it's not very good, you probably won't go. That's always been the case.
But someone like Tom Holland, for example, is... I mean, I know we know him because of Spider-Man now. That's where he's made his name. But actually, he was in Billy Elliot. He's an incredible actor, performer, singer. So he actually has got the skill set.
Yeah, well, so most stars, that's why they're stars. And I mean, name me a star devoid of talent. There might be the odd, TV game, thing or whatever, some of these strange Love Island type things. But nobody becomes a star unless they've got some talent. I remember yonks ago, we had, with the original cast of Evita, we had David Essex, who was a star, and we had Elaine Page, who at that time was not a big name. That show, of course, turned her into a big name. But they were there, they were both there, star and non-star, because they were both the best we could find, and they were both brilliant. And I don't think it makes a ha'porth of difference to the quality of a show if it's a star or not. People will go if their friends tell them they should go. And even the critics don't have as much power just word of mouth. And I don't know what they're on about, really, saying, you know, directors have got concerns or casting directors have concerns. There are so many shows where young performers can make it, and there are so many shows where you need a big star to get the punters in. I mean, it's always been that way.
And that's the business of theatre, isn't it? I think in Theatreland they call it bums on seats. That's what you got. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're singing to an empty auditorium, it's no good to anyone.
You're dead right. I mean, it's you know, there are an awful lot of problems in the theatre, but I don't think stars coming into shows, as they always have done, I don't think that is one of the problems. But all businesses like the theatre, all show businesses have problems from time to time. Everything from television to theatre to films, they all have ups and downs. But the last great play I saw, the one I really enjoyed, was Goodnight Oscar, and that starred Sean Hayes, who was the star of
Will and Grace.
Now the thing is, forgive me, Sean, if you're listening, which is unlikely as he's in America, I didn't really know Will and Grace, and I didn't know Sean Hayes, and I went to the show because friends told me it was brilliant, and it was, and he was brilliant. But had it been Fred Smith, just as good, then that wouldn't have worried me. I mean, I just think that the star names. I mean, you know, we had Rachel Zegler in Evita. She was terrific, but it was a hit, I think, because she was so good, and of course the direction was good and all that jazz. But it's if something works, it doesn't matter if it's a star or not. But we need stars. We want stars. I like.
But is there? I mean, you always get a lot of concern. I don't know if this is justified or not. But when everything is pinned on a star, where does that leave this sort of up and coming talent? Can they still get a break?
Oh, sure, because you have a star in a show, you know. I mean, take a recent big musical like The Devil Wears Prada. Well, it's not just a star, there's a whole cast. There's 30 or 40 people. I mean, the original cast, going back to Evita, because I'm speaking of my own experiences, an awful lot of people who were in Evita in minor roles, but got into the West End, then went on to become big names themselves. This is, I mean, in the end, talent will out, and you don't get that many stars who are huge names but haven't got any talent. They've all got great talent. That's why they've made it.
You must have seen that so many times, actually, when the lead singer or the lead part suddenly is ill and the stand-in has to suddenly get their big break, and they're up to it. They can do it.
And often that's the most exciting evening you can have in the theatre, when on comes the understudy and everybody's on their side. And if they're good, that of course can turn them into a name. That's happened time and time again. But I don't think there's I mean, this casting director who gave this lecture, I'm not quite sure what she was banging on about, because, I mean, of course there are crises, and of course we want all young actors and young performers to get every chance going, but the best way sometimes will be to do a Shakespearean play with a big star in it, and then other actors, people will come and see the show, and other actors get the chance to work with the best. If you're in a show and Kenneth Branagh's in the lead role, you're going to learn a hell of a lot. And why is Kenneth Branagh a star? Because he's a brilliant actor. Simple as that.
Well, I know you've always got your eye on what's going on in the world of theatre, Tim. So if you see any roles for me and Anne,
yeah, absolutely, no problem.
We'd love to do something.
Or you could just pen one.
Right,
pen one.
I'm sure you'd pull the punters in.
Oh, we try. One way or another. We'll give it a go, yeah. Tim, really good to see you.
Lovely
Thank you very much indeed.
Well, thanks a lot. Nice to see you both. Thank you.
I always find it extraordinary every time we have him on. Absolute genius. Think of all he has produced, all the words we just all know when it comes on the radio or whatever, and that he's penned. It's just remarkable, actually.
Absolutely.
Right, still to come, at 9:45 this morning, the Health Secretary's going to be talking to Christopher Hope on the Camilla Show at 9:30. Don't miss that.
Yeah, and then first of all, we're going to find out what happened at the Mexico City Grand Prix, and a few other things like the Ashes as well. Cricket or rugby? Rugby. I think. Yeah, OK. That's all coming up with Aidan McGee in a couple of moments.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray,
Are you a human trafficker?
boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things up the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Great British giveaway first, I think, although you're
Yes.
teetering on the edge of your seats, wanting to know the sports news.
Especially Tony.
Oh, yeah, Tony, yeah, the Ashes, yeah. But hang on a minute, because it's the Great British giveaway. You've only got 5 days left to take part. Here's how.
There's just 5 days left to enter the biggest giveaway of the year so far, with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. The coming year could be your best yet. But hurry, get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, Aidan's here with the sport. Morning.
Good morning again.
What are we starting with?
One place to start, I think, and that's the boxing at the O2 last night. Frank Warren was on yesterday. He said that he predicted it was going to be a fantastic fight, and
Well, it was.
certainly delivered. And it delivered a shock as well, because Joseph Parker, the Samoan, former world champion, he put an interim belt on the line last night as well. Much improved in the last 2 or 3 years. And I didn't want to say it yesterday because I always like to back the Brits, but I couldn't really see a way that Fabio Wardley was going to win last night. Well, he certainly proved me wrong, because despite struggling at certain times, and that's what I love about boxing sometimes, you know, it went through the contest last night, and there were about 3 or 4 different times I thought Wardley was going to take it, and then just interspersed between that, I thought Joseph Parker was going to do it.
Yeah, it can turn on a sixpence.
It really can, but it's heavyweight boxing because they're such big punchers. So, I mean, Wardley's last fight, for example, he was struggling at Portman Road in Ipswich, which is his home crowd, and it was a big thump late on that got him out of jail, and that set up this fight. The winner, of course, last night we think is going to face Alexander Usyk now, but a full house at the O2. It was stopped in the 10th round. Great story as well with Fabio Wardley, because he's not a heralded name, but we've got such quality in the British ranks coming up now. He was a recruitment consultant in Ipswich 10 years ago, spotted by Dillian White, who recently lost to Moses Otel. I know, exactly. And he was doing white-collar boxing, which is the kind of thing, you know, Adam Brooks, who's on the TV sometimes, he does the white-collar boxing sometimes, and he came up through that route, which is a relatively sort of new and novel way.
I've got to ask, Mike, what's white-collar boxing?
It's just basically blokes who work in the city going to York Hall at Bethnal Green, not just York Hall, it happens around the country, and just maybe having a fight for charity, something like that. Saying, right, you fight him, I mean, people have been talking about Stephen and I doing it for years, but we've had too much respect for each other.
Boxing, but they've got proper jobs as well.
Yes, yeah, they're quite good, and it'd be a one in 1,000 or 1 in a million probably that come through and actually go to.
I had you in a headlock. Eh?
You did have me in a headlock. Yeah, I've never forgotten it. That's why I've always.
Have you done white-collar boxing?
I've boxed Aiden.
No. What,
he didn't. He got me in a headlock. He got me in a legal headlock. It was on TV. He stood up. You were here. She's forgotten.
I was. You were over there, but that was really.
Yeah. Hey, you got me in a headlock.
That was real.
Hey. I felt the strength of his biceps. I thought, I'm not getting in a ring with that bloke.
How did you know how to do that?
Hey, I'm not as green as I'm cabbage looking.
Has to be true, doesn't it, really? But yeah, OK.
But look, Fabio Wardley looks now as if he's going to face Usyk. We don't know when that's going to be, but great to see a brilliant fight last night. As I say, a full house at the O2, and one of a number of British contenders now who can go on. And I just wonder whether he can. Usyk's getting older. He's the imperious fighter of his generation, but you know, time catches up with everyone at some point.
But you were saying earlier that there are as many British fans behind Usyk as there may be.
It was a little bit like, do you remember when Federer used to play?
Brit?
Do you remember Federer used to play Murray? And in tennis, and not everyone supported Murray, partly because English people maybe thought he was Scottish, but also they just love Federer. Yeah. They love Federer, and they thought, and it wasn't a bad thing if Murray lost to Federer. And it's a similar thing with Usyk. Yeah. He has a lot of respect on these shores. He doesn't even fight in his own country because of the war in Ukraine. Yeah. And I think it's going to be a good old tear-up when they meet.
I'll tell you who we should put more support behind as a Brit who's making waves is Lando Norris.
He's on pole today at the Mexican Grand Prix in Mexico City, underway later today. Now, he hasn't been brilliant in recent weeks. He looked as if it was going to be a straight fight between himself and Oscar Piastri, his teammate. They've had their disputes recently. Verstappen coming up on the inside track, metaphorically, in recent weeks. He's the champion. He's won the last four titles in a row. And it looked for all the world as if he was going to turn the tables on those two. But pole was desperately needed for Norris, and he's got it today. And if you get, it doesn't mean you're going to win the race, but if you're first, and Piastri and Verstappen are down in 5th and 7th, that's where you want to be. And as I say, every week, every time I talk about F1, we've got some competition this time. We haven't had that in recent years, so we'll see how we play out later today when it's underway.
Fantastic. Love it, F1. All right, Aidan, thank you very much.
I'm not going to fight you still. I'm not going to fight you.
You just wait till we get into this break. It's on. It's on, boyo. Right, still to come, Prince Andrew reportedly under pressure to give up Royal Lodge before the Prince and Princess of Wales move in next door. We'll get more from Emma and Christo in a moment.
But first of all, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello there. We've got showers and longer spells of rain across western parts of the Mediterranean at the moment. Further east, some warm sunshine. We can see Madeira seeing some showery outbreaks of rain for the next few days. Temperatures in the low 20s. The risk of a few showers for southern Spain and Portugal. But in the sunshine, temperatures above average. Plenty of dry weather across Italy and Greece at the moment. Temperatures 25, 26 Celsius. So feeling warm in that sunshine, and it stays pretty settled the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
We do have problems in the UK at the moment, but I will say I don't think it's all doom and gloom. We have great safety nets here, strict protections to protect and help children. We have free education ranking 4th in the world for universities as well. Free NHS, dodgy as it may be sometimes. And we also have a lot of culture, history and green spaces, which I think is really important. 74% of children said that they can walk to a park or green space near them. So I don't think it's all that bad, but I do think we have lost our sense of community, and that's something that we need to work on.
Why do you think it is that so many fewer people are having children now? I mean, the birthing, the sort of fertility crisis that this country has entered into, to be fair, matching basically all of the developed world, fewer and fewer people are having children.
I don't think it's just about the money. I think there's actually a huge social media rise of child-free influencers. I don't know if you've seen any of these, but they're just very anti-children.
They call them dinks. Have you heard of dinks? Double income, no kids.
Oh, yeah. It's very interesting. And I think it's, you know, we look at somewhere like Somalia, where they have around average 5 children per family. They have virtually no benefit system, no pension system. Their children are their pension. And so I think in the UK, maybe we have too many options. People, I'm not saying it's all avocado on toast, but I think people are just really not seeing it as a popular option.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh, no, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, 8:44 on Time for the Papers with the journalist Emma Wolfe, for the broadcaster Christo Foufas. Love saying your name.
I know, thank you.
I thought you just went by one name, like Madonna. I thought you were just Christo.
Yeah, like Cher. I mean, that's like.
Well, on this channel, you sort of are known as Christo now, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, you can just say with Christo if you want.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, not good.
Foufas is all right.
Sunday Telegraph. Start with you, Ms Wolfe.
Yeah, well, back to more serious issues.
I don't get too big for my boots. Yeah. Go over there.
The Prime Minister has been told to bin the workers' rights legislation.
Well, this looks like it could be another big U-turn from Labour. They've done the big U-turn on pensioners, on the winter fuel. They've done the big U-turn on grooming gangs inquiry. Lots of U-turns. Looks like they're going to water down significantly the workers' rights bill. And guess what? Everybody said this was not going to work out the way it was meant to work out. This was the brainchild of Angela Rayner, and it was things like day one rights. So you're employed day one, you have rights to unfair dismissal, all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, Labour's favourite think tank is saying, the Resolution Foundation, is saying, guys, you know what? This workers' rights bill is not such a great idea. It's going to blight the job prospects of millions of people. It's going to put a freeze on hiring. It's going to absolutely inhibit hiring. And it's going to cause, basically, a kind of crippling of the jobs market. Because if you give people all these rights from day one, people are going to say, look, we can't afford, firstly, with all the hikes in national insurance and all of that. But also, you cannot expect to be given rights like that on day one in a job. It means that employers can't test anyone
It's
out.
Angela Rayner's baby, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
She mentioned it in her speech to the Commons the other day.
Yeah.
She said how proud she was that it was going to come into law.
We are run by people who are obsessed, I think, with sixth form ideological politics rather than the practicality of day-to-day life. So I think of my parents. Like my mum had a flower shop, for instance, and she wouldn't be able to hire someone who she was trying out, who had those kinds of rights. And then because if they took her then for unfair dismissal, she was a small business. She wouldn't be able to afford to fight that. So what's going to happen? She's either not going to hire someone, or she'll just hire someone sort of self-employed, part-time, who end up with those fewer rights. So there's that aspect, but also, I don't know if you remember a couple of days ago where Labour were also mooting not only this, but raising the minimum wage.
Yes, exactly.
Well, again,
By
how
4%.
does this translate to more jobs when we've got more and more people on PAYE becoming unemployed than since the COVID era? It just is, again, it's like we're going to really sort of sock it to these bosses and these landlords and mansion owners, as we might talk about in a moment.
I was going to say, if you think this is crazy and they're having to U-turn on it, but then they're saying, oh, well, let's have a mansion tax.
Yeah, and this is, of course, made the front page of today's Mail on Sunday. Homeowners with a new mansion tax costing thousands of pounds a year. This is going to kill what is already a dying property market. But also, what I loathe about this so much is it's going to target the people who are wealth-heavy, cash-poor, who might have ended up, inheriting a house or buying it years ago. Now, if that house is worth a lot of money now, that's because of failures of government to build housing. So we're going to penalise you because you've got a little bit of wealth. We're going to get our little sticky little hands on it. But worse than that, what does it say ideologically about this country? I want to work hard and I want to buy a nice house and it might be worth a little bit of money. No. We don't want you to do that.
No, rinse the rich.
It's more about... well, actually, just on that point, the super rich... They won't care.
No.
It's the middle classes. Same with the VAT on schools. Same with the farms tax.
And it's also the elderly. It's also the elderly who live in homes. They don't have any money, but their home has appreciated over the years, over decades. They don't have the money to pay £10,000 for every amount that it's worth.
Which means it'll accumulate and it'll get taken off the value of the property when they're dead.
Exactly.
Yeah, or when they do eventually choose to sell it. We should be incentivising
the property market is already frozen with fear, and it's this uncertainty. I mean, we've had so many different things floated about this budget, haven't we? This budget of doom that is coming down the line, this early Christmas present at the end of November.
Don't they get it?
All of these ideas...
No, they don't get it. They don't see things the same way.
They read it because I think it's ideological. We're going to try and shaft people who we think are for it, rather than actually thinking about what must be unintended consequences. I talk a lot about landlords and this renters' rights bill as well. Again, we're going to shaft landlords. Well, you're just putting rents up, or you're reducing the numbers of properties. That's the most basic economics. It's so moronic, but it's also, I think, an erosion of the middle classes. And I don't think I'm being dramatic when I say it.
Well, it is
the middle class aspiration.
But it is this whole thing about, and I can understand it from a certain perspective, but this whole idea that anyone with wealth is an enemy.
Yeah.
And that they are privileged. Well, yes, they do have privilege. You've got more money. You're not worrying about the day-to-day. Yeah, of course. But a lot of these people have got that because they've worked hard at school and they've worked their way up and they're inspirational.
So what you're doing,
they're employing people.
Exactly.
And they've taken risk. The whole point of, like, for instance, capital gains tax that they put up, capital gains receipts have gone down. Why? Because people aren't taking risks with investments now. So again, on paper, they say, brilliant, you've made some money from capital gains, we're going to get that money. But actually, they end up with less money in the treasury.
Same with private schools.
And people
Same
stop
with the VAT on private schools.
risks. And if you've taken a risk to start a business or make an investment, then you should be rewarded by not being taxed so highly, because that's the trade-off. And ultimately, the government ends up getting more because more people take that risk, but also they employ people, the economy does better, so they still get their pound of flesh from the economy. And
that's what saving does. If you save money or you pay into a pension fund, that you're providing the government with money to spend during the time that they're allowed to use it.
And also you're taking a burden off the government, because if you don't do that, you'll end up more of a burden on them when you're older.
And this attack on employment is such an idiotic, short-term way of thinking about it. How can you encourage businesses to invest in our country or to grow their businesses in this country when you are saying this is how high the cost of employment is, the risk of it, as you say, unfair dismissal, being taken to a tribunal, all of that kind of thing. It just says to people, this is not a place to grow your business.
Do you think people like Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer get that, and it's just that they're too frightened to do anything else because they're trying to keep some of their backbenchers?
I think they're trying to appease the further left, the soft left.
Even if they know it's
They're
wrong
trying to appeal to their voter base. They're desperate for money. There are so many different things they're trying to balance here.
In that sense, because what we were told is it was country before party.
That's just nonsense.
But because if that is the case, if what you're saying is the case, then it is all about getting re-elected rather than the country benefiting.
But I think what's interesting at the moment is you don't raise a generation of capitalists who will see the lunacy in all of this if they don't have access to capital, and that is the failure of the Conservatives. And what they're actually playing to as well is a younger voter base who are really being seduced by the Greens, who are also saying, yes, you've got some wealth, this is completely unfair. And I have a little sympathy with that way of thinking. If you are someone who for the last 14 years hasn't been able to get on the property ladder, hasn't had access to wealth, you don't become a capitalist if you don't have capital. And that's where... So what they should be actually focusing on is helping people get access to that so that therefore they want to aspire to do better, not penalising those people who've already done it.
Can we just look at the welfare bill, though? Because what we're doing at the moment is taking money, taxing everybody to the hilt, absolutely. Everybody who's working hard, taxing them till the pipsqueak, and then giving billions out in welfare and to new arrivals in this country, to put it politely.
Because of the crazies, as you've mentioned,
it is absolutely
behind
insane.
Rachel Reeves and all of that, because every time they try and do something moderate, like reduce expenditure, they all revolt and say that this is absolutely terrible, which is why all of this is ideological over practical, and it makes no sense because our economy has flatlined, our unemployment is going up, tax receipts are going down.
Ideological, but it's also incredibly cynical.
Yeah, it is.
They know they're actually doing the wrong thing just to appease.
I'm not sure they do know that they're doing the wrong thing.
Stupid?
I don't think they... I know.
Are they just
I wouldn't use the word
stupid?
stupid. I don't think we have much intellect or much experience or much kind of, I don't know, nous. Not much. The Prime Minister doesn't seem to have good advisors around him. The Chancellor doesn't seem to know what she's doing. Her economic
But it's just most people
analysis is not
sitting
good.
at home with a bit of common sense can work out it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I've saved all my life. I'm just from that type of family where we say we didn't have any money, but you save what you can. So I've always been a saver. And now you just feel like, well, I might as well spend it. I might as well spend a lot and live off the state in my old days.
And why you should be rewarded and applauded for that. And do you know what else is that sticks in your craw is the gaslighting then we get. Well, literally, they give interviews and you speak to these people and they say, oh, no, we're fixing the foundations. And no, you're not. You're making it worse. Our debt is through the roof. We're borrowing more money than in history. So I can't get my head around it.
Oh, well. Let's renew ourselves into another hour. Thank you both very much indeed. Good to see you.
Time for the weather now with Greg Dewhurst.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Fairly chilly start, a patchy frost in places, but that's all change as the next weather system starts to move in from the Atlantic, bringing cloud and rain initially across Northern Ireland and Scotland this morning. Elsewhere, sunshine becoming limited to southeast England. But as we move through into the afternoon, that cloud and rain slowly pushing its way south and eastwards. So everywhere seeing some rain by the end of the day today. The wind's still coming in from a northwesterly direction, so still rather chilly out there, generally between 8 and 12 Celsius. So with the lack of sunshine, it will feel rather chilly. And as we head through into the evening time, the band of rain continues to slowly push its way southwards, so parts of central, southern England and Wales, a wet end to the day here. Some of the rain could be heavy at times over the higher ground. Behind the rain into parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland, we've got clearer spells here, but scattered showers. The showers most frequent across central and northern parts of Scotland. Some of these on the heavy side. Temperatures this evening around 4 to 7 Celsius, so rather chilly end to Sunday. And then overnight we see the cloud and rain continuing to push its way southeastwards into the near continent, though we will see further outbreaks of rain across southwest England into Wales up into Northern Ireland as well. Frequent showers elsewhere. So it means temperatures overnight maybe not quite as low as they were last night, holding up around 4 to 9 Celsius, perhaps even double digits across some southern counties of England and Wales, where it will be a cloudy start on Monday morning. Outbreaks of rain continuing here through the day, but generally for most it will be a bright day on Monday. Sunny spells, scattered showers. The wind's still coming in from the north, so a fairly chilly direction, but some milder air trying to move into the south. So here temperatures a little higher on Monday, around 14 Celsius, but for many between 9 and 13, so still rather chilly. See you soon.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
They've completely refigured the inside of this theatre. So the stalls have been made into sort of tiered stadium seating. It's in the round. They've built seats and a balcony at the back as well.
In the Old Vic?
In the Old Vic. Absolutely. So this is a huge amount of effort's gone into this. Yep. Susan Sarandon, 79, Oscar winner. I have to say, superb, vivid.
Thelma and Louise.
Absolutely, and I love what she was doing here. People aren't always. This is her UK stage debut.
Extraordinary.
Completely convincing, beautiful, nuanced. It's got Andrea Riseborough, incredible actress. Eleanor Worthington-Cox, who I love, who was in Next to Normal, but won an Olivier as a kid for Matilda. So this is Mary Page Marlowe. We've got 5 actresses playing the same woman through different times in her life, backwards and forwards through time. And we have got the playwright, Tracy Letts, giving us a little insight into what he was trying to do with the play.
What are the 11 scenes you would choose to illustrate your life, to tell you who you are?
I watched some clips of people in America talking about it when it first came out, curious to see if I was missing something. And they talked about, it's a puzzle, how would you put your life in 11 scenes? And one of the people on the video mentioned it's a bit like a quilt, which always makes me groan a bit, because there's a quilt at the start of the stage. This makes me groan.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, Susan Sarandon at the end, and she's great all the way through, her final sort of big moving speech is she's taken a quilt into a dry cleaner and she starts talking about it, and it's different panels, like different bits of her life, and one panel that she loves most has a woman slightly turned away, bit mysterious. Who is she, Michael? What happened in her? And I just cringed, and I've seen a lot of 3-star reviews, which for me is just polite.
The People's Channel.
Good morning. The Epping Hotel sex offender remains at large.
Yeah, now it's almost 2 days after those officers accidentally released the Ethiopian migrant from prison.
Well, the latest footage shows Hadush Kabatu in a London library as officers urge the fugitive to hand himself in.
Yeah, he was last seen at 8 p.m. in the Hackney area of East London with an avocado tote bag. Police urge anyone who's seen him to get in touch with them immediately.
Meanwhile, there's budget speculation, of course. That's all heating up, with the Chancellor said to be considering a mansion tax.
That's right. Is the government planning a big tax raid on the wealthy? We'll ask Wes Streeting within the next hour.
And MPs are preparing to defy convention and discuss stripping Prince Andrew of his titles for good. And of course, he's facing increasing pressure to leave Royal Lodge.
Nobody becomes a star unless they've got some talent.
The lyricists behind musicals like The Lion King and Evita, Sir Tim Rice, joined us earlier. Find out what he had to say about West End theatre shortly.
Hello. Some of us enjoyed an extra hour in bed last night with the clock change, and it's all changed with the weather today as well. Find out all the details coming up soon.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Funny talking to Tim Rice. Makes me want to burst into song.
Yes, absolutely.
Actually, someone
reminds me of that golden era where they kept bringing out musical after musical, and they were all incredible.
Someone got in touch earlier on your show saying, well, how many people actually go to the theatre now? It's a very small niche. And I agree, actually. It is... I mean, I never go to the theatre. I mean, I'm not that bothered, really.
It depends if there's theatre near you, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, in London, it's easier to go to the theatre. I used to live very near Stratford-on-Avon. We went all the time.
But it's one of those things, if you do, on the rare occasions I have gone... I am kicking you, sorry. On the rare occasions, you do come away thinking, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I went to see, donkeys years ago, Mary Poppins.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it was
brilliant.
Absolutely. You came out on an absolute high. Yeah. So when it's done well, it was fantastic.
The only way, when my kids were little and we lived near Stratford-on-Avon, you used to wait for a star name in order to pull them in to the theatre, otherwise they'd go a bit yawny. And Patrick Stewart was, he did that season at Stratford, and so did David Tennant. Doctor Who, that got my sons very keen to go. In fact, they were waiting outside the stage door for his autograph afterwards. It made it really good fun. But it does depend whether you live near an easily accessible theatre and how much the theatre tickets are, because it can be very expensive to go out as a family.
I think it is just a very rare treat for most people.
But it is still lovely if you do go.
And it is actually, I mean, I know it's mainly London when you're talking about all the big West End stuff, but it's a very big economic driver. Loads of tourists go and things, so actually it's important for the country as far as that goes. But it's a nice thing to do on occasion.
Yeah, it is. If you you have to pick something you fancy, really, don't you?
Anyway, our main news this morning, and it's about that manhunt for the sex offender, the migrant, who was accidentally freed. Well, they haven't got him yet. It's still ongoing, but it is intensifying, apparently.
Hadush Kibatu was last seen on Friday, just before 8 o'clock in the evening in Hackney in North London.
Well, there was CCTV footage released last night, showed the 41-year-old in a library, still in that prison-issue tracksuit, of course.
And that's as reports emerged that he did try to return to the prison several times, but prison officers kept turning him away.
All right, let's get the very latest for you with our national reporter, Will Godley, who's at New Scotland Yard. Morning, Will.
Morning, Stephen. Yeah, this is an update from the Metropolitan Police, who seem to be working at pace in this investigation, saying their investigation is intensifying, although they have said the last confirmed sighting of Kibatu was on Friday evening, just before 8 o'clock, some 37 hours ago. And now, that was in the Hackney area, Dalston, in East London, a very popular, trendy area with lots of people aged 20 and 30 there, out for drinks after work, out for dinner. So there would have been a lot of people around there, potentially, who would have seen Kibatu roaming around the streets. Of course, we know he went to that library in Dalston as well, just before 6 o'clock as well. The police haven't said what they believe he was doing in that library, but in all of the footage we've seen of him so far, we haven't seen him with a mobile phone, so potentially maybe getting access to the internet, carrying out some inquiries, looking for contacts. Of course, libraries often have access to computers as well as books, so potentially maybe explaining his reason to go to the library there. But police haven't seen him or confirmed to have seen him since 8 p.m. or just before 8 p.m. on Friday, which might mean that they are slightly at a block at the moment as to where he could be. Of course, 2 nights have passed since then. Their questions would be, where has he stayed and what has he been up to in the past 37 hours? Yesterday, the Metropolitan Police said they have deployed additional officers to the area to carry out further searches, maybe go door to door, see if anyone has seen this individual, Kabatu, who the police said now has a very distinctive tote bag for his belongings. We saw him released from prison with a clear plastic bag. This is now a white tote bag with avocados painted on it. So if anybody has seen him in the East London area, police urging them to call 999. But the whereabouts of him in those last 37 hours or so, something the police will be at pace looking at as they seek to establish his current whereabouts and also where he was staying for the last 2 nights. They said yesterday in a statement to the media that they believe he has access to funds. That could explain how he's managed to pay for the last 2 nights after being accidentally released from HMP Chelmsford on Friday morning. We understand that he was released on licence, handed £76 instead of actually being released and handed over to Home Office deportation officers who would have taken him to a deportation facility where he then would have boarded a flight to Ethiopia. But instead of that, he is now on the streets of Britain, and we're hearing more information about what exactly took place when he was released from prison. It seems, according to an eyewitness who has spoken, that happened about 10:10 on Friday morning. A delivery driver who was there, who goes by the name of Sim, has spoken to reporters saying he saw Kabatu looking confused and upset and asking prison officers for help. He said he returned back to prison 4 or 5 times, telling officers that he's supposed to be deported and not released. Officers, according to this eyewitness, replied saying, "No, you're released, you're free." And they even, according to this eyewitness, helped him with directions to the train station in Chelmsford, about a 20-minute walk away. Well, Kabatu, 45 hours on from when the police were first called, still on the loose. Police made a direct appeal to him yesterday to hand himself in, as the Prime Minister describes what went on in the prison as totally unacceptable. The Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Secretary David Lammy has now launched an independent inquiry to establish exactly what went wrong. We understand someone in the prison service has been removed from duties in what initially looked like a mistake, but now, after this eyewitness account, seems like it could be more of a widespread real error here, as this man, who should be in prison after being sentenced for committing sexual offences against a woman and a teenage girl in Epping, should be in prison for 12 months, now on the streets of Britain, and has been for the last 46 hours.
For now, thank you very much indeed.
And if he isn't being sheltered, then how did he get through last night, for instance, which was very, very cold indeed?
You'd think with all the technology in London, they'd be able to track him down. Anyway, we'll keep you fully up to date with that. As we tell you about the Chancellor. We've got the budget, of course, heading your way in about a month. And now, apparently, we could see a mansions tax.
Yes, that would mean that anyone who owns a property worth more than £2 million would face paying the Treasury an additional 1% on what between the £2 million level and what is above that, what they sell it for or what it's valued at. That is, for example, the owners of a £3 million property would face an extra bill of £10,000 every year.
Yeah, I mean, heck. Let's talk to our political editor, Christopher Hope, who's in Westminster for us this morning, where he's doing Camilla's show at 9:30. Morning, Chris. Why on earth would the government be looking at something which looks like it could absolutely subdue the housing market?
It could do at the top end, but it may not affect the bottom end. The reason why they're doing this is they desperately need to raise money somehow, and trying to tax people on houses over £2 million is far out of reach of most people, the vast majority in this country. It was looked at by the Liberal Democrats. I think Labour looked at it in 2015. The concern is going to be, though, as house prices go up, more and more people will be dragged into this 2 million bracket. It's a lot of money, no question. And, of course, that's why they think they can land it, because it might work to get more money into the pockets of ordinary working people, to use the government's language. So this is the beginning, I think, of what will be a 6-week budget speculation period. We saw it last year. It's terribly destabilising. Businesses hate it, and often people resist doing any kind of major financial move in their lives till they see what the budget will do. And I think that's going to be concerning. The big question, of course, on our show today, the Camilla Tomley shows for Wes Streeting, will you look at lifting income tax? You said you wouldn't do it at the budget last year, or VAT, or maybe national insurance for employees. Those big three, the Mount Rushmore, I suppose, of big tax increases. They said they wouldn't do that at the last election. Will you do it this time, because the finances are so difficult? This week's show on the Camilla Tomley Show is really one of looking backwards, not forwards. It's been a week of hell for the government, one of the worst I can remember covering politics for 20 years. It started with the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. They couldn't have their safety guaranteed going to Villa Park in Birmingham. Then we had the hokey-cokey migrants who came in again, of course, under the government scheme. We passed a record number of small boat migrants for all of last year. This year, with a third of the year left to go. There are huge issues with the rape gangs inquiry. Is that going to collapse? We don't know. Labour lost that seat in Wales, first time in 100 years. They have not held that seat in Caerphilly. And, of course, the enemy of Keir Starmer, Lucy Powell, elected to be the deputy leader. I've never known a week like it. We'll put all those questions to Zia Youssef from Reform UK, to Chris Philp, the Home Affairs spokesman for the Tory party, and, of course, Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary.
Yeah, it's been, as you say, it's very interesting you say that. In all your years covering politics, this is possibly the worst week you've seen for a government.
It does feel that way, and I do recognise there have been worse weeks with wars breaking out, tragedies and all that kind of thing. But what makes it different, I think, is that a lot of this has happened on the government's watch. There's things they could have done that would have stopped these things happening. They could have guaranteed the safety of those Villa fans they're coming from Tel Aviv. They could have maybe done better with the one in, one out. They could have maybe controlled the border, the southern border better. Maybe not drop Rwanda. They could have won the vote in Caerphilly, and they could have got someone in to be deputy to the PM who isn't someone who really doesn't like him much after she was fired last month. Of course, she would deny that, and they all worked together, but that was a very punchy resignation letter last week. So it's really a programme to review what's happened and where the government can go from here.
I'm also a bit intrigued, because it seems you've got the Health Secretary on, Chris. I mean, there's these new figures out now saying that we're delivering 19,000 more ops for the operations for the NHS every week, but they're being done by the private sector. Well, that's got to raise a lot of questions about how you move forward with the NHS, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but I think one of Wes Streeting's strong points is he's never wanted to shy away from using the private sector if the NHS itself, the state-funded part of it, won't do the job. What he doesn't want to happen, and it shouldn't happen, is people should be needlessly suffering because the NHS can't get them treated in time. If he can pay for it on the private sector, Wes Streeting always said he would do that. And I think, to his credit, he always has tried to put patients first. Maybe in the debit column, though, was he right last year to pay a 29% pay rise over 3 years to Duke's resident doctors? That is a big amount of money to them. They've come back for more now, and how will he deal with the strikes next month?
OK, thanks very much indeed, and we'll look forward to seeing you in about 20 minutes' time.
I've got some breaking news for you now, though, and apparently there are reports this morning that 2 suspects have been arrested over the Louvre heist last weekend. It's according to French media. Apparently, both suspects in their 30s are originally from Saint-Saint-Denis, which is in Paris itself. So it is a breakthrough. They reckon that the thieves got away with £76 million worth of jewels.
And don't they reckon that it's probably a 4-person gang?
Yeah.
So they've arrested 2. Does that mean the other 2 got the booty?
Well, very possibly. I mean, it does give a little bit of hope that they might get these jewels back.
Before they're broken down, broken up and melted down.
Which would be a real shame, because they are sort of like the crown jewels to an extent.
They really... Well, they're impossible to value, aren't they?
Yeah.
There you go.
So there you go.
So there's something moving there.
Something moving there.
We'll be bringing you updates, of course, throughout the day on that.
In the meantime, talking of money, sadly we can't give you £76 million, but we can give you the chance to win £104,000, or a prize worth that at least, in our Great British Giveaway. Just about 5 days left now for that motorhome, plus 30 grand in tax-free cash. Here's how you enter.
There's just 5 days left to enter the biggest giveaway of the year so far, with a prize worth over £104,000. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. Worth over £74,000, this luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. The coming year could be your best yet. But hurry, get your entry in now. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, a few minutes ago, we spoke to... Actually, it's quite a while ago now.
It's about an hour ago now.
Yeah, time flies. We spoke to Sir Tim Rice, the man behind the lyrics of amazing shows like Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, and things like that. He has views on how talent can still make it and how seats can still be filled in the West End. We'll find out what he had to say next.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now, Sir Tim Rice, the amazing lyricist, has been talking to us this morning, so explaining how you need to get a mix of big names and real raw talent on the West End to get bombs on seats.
So let's take a look at what he had to tell us.
Basically, I don't think there's a major problem. I think word of mouth is the most important thing. And if a show is good, you tell your pals, you tell your mates. And if your friend says it's good, you'll go. And if it's a big name and a friend says it's not very good, you probably won't go. That's always been the case.
But someone like Tom Holland, for example, is... I mean, I know we know him because of Spider-Man now. That's where he's made his name. But actually, he was in Billy Elliot. He's an incredible actor, performer, singer. So he's got the skill set.
Yeah, well, so most stars, that's why they're stars. And I mean, name me a star devoid of talent. There might be the odd, TV game, thing or whatever, some of these strange Love Island type things. But nobody becomes a star unless they've got some talent. I remember yonks ago, we had, with the original cast of Evita, we had David Essex, who was a star, and we had Elaine Page, who at that time was not a big name. That show, of course, turned her into a big name. But they were there, they were both there, star and non-star, because they were both the best we could find, and they were both brilliant. And I don't think it makes a ha'porth of difference to the quality of a show if it's a star or not. People will go if their friends tell them they should go, and even the critics don't have as much power as word of mouth. And I don't know what they're on about, really, saying, directors have got concerns or casting directors have concerns. There are so many shows where young performers can make it, and there are so many shows where you need a big star to get the punters in. It's always been that way.
And that's the business of theatre, isn't it? I think in Theatreland they call it bums on seats. That's what you got. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're singing to an empty auditorium, it's no good to anyone.
You're dead right. I mean, it's there are an awful lot of problems in the theatre, but I don't think stars coming into shows, as they always have done, I don't think that is one of the problems. But all businesses, like the theatre, all show businesses have problems from time to time. Everything from television to theatre to films, they all have ups and downs. But the last great play I saw, the one I really enjoyed, was Goodnight Oscar, and that starred Sean Hayes, who was the star of
Will and Grace.
Yeah. Now the thing is, forgive me, Sean, if you're listening, which is unlikely as he's in America, I didn't really know Will and Grace, and I didn't know Sean Hayes, and I went to the show because friends told me it was brilliant, and it was, and he was brilliant. But had it been Fred Smith, just as good, then that wouldn't have worried me. I mean, I just think that the star names. I mean, we had Rachel Zegler in Evita. She was terrific, but it was a hit, I think, because she was so good, and of course the direction was good and all that jazz. But it's if something works, it doesn't matter if it's a star or not. But we need stars. We want stars.
Half the genius that gave us so many musicals.
Oh, yeah, incredible man.
Lovely to speak to him.
Right, that is it from us. Thanks for your company this weekend. Don't go anywhere, though, because Christopher Hope is up next with all the politics that you need after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Fairly chilly start, a patchy frost in places, but that's all change as the next weather system starts to move in from the Atlantic, bringing cloud and rain initially across Northern Ireland and Scotland this morning. Elsewhere, sunshine becoming limited to southeast England. But as we move through into the afternoon, that cloud and rain slowly pushing its way south and eastwards. So everywhere seeing some rain by the end of the day today. The wind's still coming in from a northwesterly direction, so still rather chilly out there, generally between 8 and 12 Celsius. So with the lack of sunshine, it will feel rather chilly. And as we head through into the evening time, the band of rain continues to slowly push its way southwards, so parts of central, southern England and Wales, a wet end to the day here. Some of the rain could be heavy at times over the higher ground. Behind the rain into parts of Northern Ireland, southern Scotland, we've got clearer spells here, but scattered showers. The showers most frequent across central and northern parts of Scotland. Some of these on the heavy side. Temperatures this evening around 4 to 7 Celsius, so rather chilly end to Sunday. And then overnight we see the cloud and rain continuing to push its way southeastwards into the near continent, though we will see further outbreaks of rain across southwest England into Wales, up into Northern Ireland as well. Frequent showers elsewhere, so it means temperatures overnight maybe not quite as low as they were last night, holding up around 4 to 9 Celsius, perhaps even double digits across some southern counties of England and Wales, where it will be a cloudy start on Monday morning. Outbreaks of rain continuing here through the day, but generally for most it will be a bright day on Monday. Sunny spells, scattered showers. The wind's still coming in from the north, so a fairly chilly direction, but some milder air trying to move into the south, so here temperatures a little higher on Monday, around 14 Celsius, but for many between 9 and 13, so still rather chilly. See you soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.